Is President Trump reacting on Truth Social to the decision by Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts allowing the construction of the White House ballroom to continue? It'll cost $400 million, but the president told reporters it's all coming from private funds.
No taxpayer money for the ballroom at all.
The ruling from Justice Roberts coming as the Supreme Court considers the administration's emergency request to intervene in lawsuits over the project. The president made the comments before heading to Myrtle Beach for a rally tonight in support of Senator Darlene Graham. Meanwhile, Vice President J.D. Vance traveled to a steel facility in Middletown, Ohio, to make the case for Republicans ahead of the midterm.
Vice President Vance asked workers at the Cleveland Cliffs Middletown Steelworks facility to vote for Republicans this fall, including John Husted for Senate and Vivek Ramaswamy for governor.
Now, we got to ask ourselves, imagine if they get back in power, what are they going to vote for? If these radicals take control of Congress, they're going to pass the craziest agenda America has ever seen.
He said under President Trump, there's been an explosion in building up American manufacturing with trillions invested in new facilities and plants. He also announced $1 billion investment by the Department of Energy and Cleveland Cliffs Steel in their Middletown Works flagship plant.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. Cleanup underway in Dover, Delaware after a rare tornado blew through last night.
6:18 to be exact is when that tornado came ripping and rolling on through. Now, the National Weather Service has yet to survey the damage here, so we don't know the EF rating. I'm giving it loosely as a meteorologist, perhaps an EF1 rating.
Fox Weather's Michael Estime in Dover. Another tornado was confirmed on New York's Long Island in Atlantic Beach, tearing apart buildings at a beach club. Wall Street stocks rose, trimming losses from a shaky week, even though the bond market remained jumpy. The Dow gained 518, the Nasdaq up 113. America's listening to Fox News.
When I hit my 50s, I felt like things were slowing down.
This is Sandra's Metamucil story.
I started taking Metamucil for digestion, but had no idea it would impact so much more. Not only did Metamucil help me feel more regular, but my heart health saw the benefits too.
Metamucil. One simple routine, 4 health benefits. Digestive health starts here. Go to metamucil.com for more details.
Ice Cube's Big 3 season has come down to this. The Big 3 Championship is coming to Charlotte. Who will be crowned the Big 3 Season 9 champion? Plus the Big 3 All-Star Game. The biggest names in the game, all on one court, one more time. 2 games of the most physical, competitive, and non-stop 3-on-3 action. The game played the way you love. Watch live Saturday on CBS at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, and catch replays Monday on BET.
Yay, yay!
The yellow light!
God, I'm walking here!
Good afternoon and welcome to the Jason Rantz Show. We are here on Seattle Red 770 AM on a gorgeous Friday. And by gorgeous, I mean it's just really ugly outside. It's just dreary and disturbing and disgusting, kind of like my soul. You're listening to the Jason Rantz Show on Seattle Red 770 AM. Streaming online at seattlered.com. We got a ton to get to this hour, including the so-called hunger strike at the Tacoma Ice Facility has finally come to an end. Some might argue even before it started. In fact, that will be my argument, because it's fake. We'll get into that and so much more. But first, the fallout of a Seattle Times decision. That's what's trending, brought to you by the Sunset Auto family.
What's trending in the media?
God bless Matt Calkins, because he has been all over the place. He's been doing a ton of interviews on the decision that he made, a brave decision, I think, to resign from his role as a sports columnist for the Seattle Times after they decided not to run his column defending girls' sports. This was well within his purview as a sports columnist. Sports columnists will write about cultural issues when they have to do with sports. And obviously, when there's a big local story that is sports related and culture, it's like that intersection, especially a local story that's not just huge here, but becomes a national story, of course he's going to want to write about it. But as he told me yesterday on the show, the reality is it didn't get published because there is this groupthink, left-wing groupthink, coming from the Seattle Times.
Submitted the column Friday. I said, you don't need to rush this out. This isn't my surprise Sunday column. And they said, okay, well, we're going to look at it, but we're not going to run it for Sunday. And on Monday, I got an email saying from my editor that his boss was going to look at it, take it to the top 2 editors on Wednesday. And I'm like, okay. And then on Thursday, I got a call saying, you didn't tell us what you were doing beforehand, and we're not gonna run this piece. And I was prepared for something like that, and I said, okay, I don't think I could work there anymore.
Now, this didn't come out of nowhere, and he made the point on the interview yesterday saying people might think like he rage quit. That's not what happened. This was the 4th story, he says, that had been denied by the Times that just happened to be more, quote unquote, conservative in nature. And I've known Matt for a very long time. He was not happy at the Seattle Times for a while. And this is the perfect, story to encapsulate why someone might be frustrated with the newsroom there that has liberal just kind of groupthink infecting every bit, and then the op-ed side of things, liberal groupthink infecting everything, and then on the sports side, liberal groupthink infecting everything, where at the end of the day, the culture, the environment of that newspaper is just very far left.
It's a very far left culture.
See?
There are pronoun buttons when you walk in the door that you're strongly encouraged to wear. And, we had book clubs where basically it was all about race, like white fragility or Ibram Kendi. And it's basically like, kind of the whole white man bad kind of thing. And they kept beating that drum with every book that we read. I don't know I think there are a lot of people in the Times that are on the same page as me, where they think a lot of this is ridiculous, but hey, they're just putting their head down and doing their job.
There are, I can confirm, a few who are like that. I won't tell you their names, but there are a few people who are like that who still work there, and more power to them. They either like what they do, or it's tough doing what Matt did. What's been curious is how some folks on the left have reacted to this, and they're not reading the room on this topic. I understand how folks on the right were going to respond to this, right? I mean, we always knew that they were going to be very supportive of this, and this is someone who deserves the support because of the brave decision that he made here. But there have been some folks on the left who just refuse to acknowledge that they're on the wrong side of this issue. They're on the wrong side of this issue, period. Every poll says exactly the same thing. And yet they pretend that they're not just right, but they're evolved on the issue of gender. He says he cares about women, but then he won't support trans women and girls? Well, no, he supports women, which is why he's not supporting trans women and girls in female competitions, because they're not actual women. They identify as women. And as he points out, same thing I point out, respectful of people who identify as a different gender. I'm not mean-spirited towards anyone like that. I don't go around calling them mentally ill, which I think too many people on our side of the aisle will do. I do use the personal pronoun so long as it's the actual word and it's not z. I don't do they, them. I'm not doing that nonsense where you pretend you don't have a gender. I'm not going to go into that. But I'll be generally polite, also because it just is awkward otherwise. And I'd like to prevent being in awkward positions. But the reality is, the folks who tell us that they're on the right side of this on the far left are the ones who can't point to a single poll that even comes close to reflecting their values, their views on this. And some of the hot takes that I've heard just over the course of the last 24 hours, both in print or on X, things like that, some on television, it's just sometimes it's a little bit too much. It's like, oh, so you say you care about this issue, but then you won't say anything about Donald Trump. Donald Trump, he's a sports writer. Was Donald Trump part of this story? Oh, but you won't say about the adjudicated rapist, Donald Trump. It's like, okay, yeah. You should just call him a rapist and see what happens to you. See legally what's going to happen when you do that, because it's false.
That went well for ABC.
But it just, again, this idea that the sports columnist would write, where do you want him to shoehorn that in? This isn't even an issue that isn't localized, where you can at least make the argument that, okay, I get your point, but that's not really what you're paid to do. We didn't hire you to write about this. He didn't just bring it up out of nowhere. He brought it up out of a very specific local story that the Seattle Times itself covered, specifically around the WNBA game in which girls, 2 of them, were bullied and harassed in the crowd, including by the co-owner of the team. That's a big story. And what all of this amounts to is whether or not you agree with his point. And you could read it. It was published in the New York Post. I think he also published it on his Substack, his actual column, which there's nothing even remotely controversial. If anything, my criticism is you didn't lean into it hard enough. You should have been way more partisan. Wasn't partisan at all. But the people who are attacking him, who are going after him, are basically saying, I disagree with him, so naturally he's wrong, and he should never have been able to publish this. It's sad, these people. And by the way, they'll then say, Hassan Piker has a free speech right to give a speech and get paid thousands of dollars for it, to tell about how he hates the Jews or something. I'm sick of these people. But this highlighted the problem with the Seattle Times, one that, of course, you and we all knew about. This is not a shock to us. We knew that the left-wing Seattle Times was leaning into this nonsense and were clearly using their personal political views to say no to certain kinds of stories or to reframe other kinds of stories. This happens in their news department all the time. All the time. This is not unique to the Times. This is not even unique to Seattle media, but Seattle media is awful. It's just awful. And I take the position that I heard Donald Trump raise in an interview yesterday. He was ripping into the media, as he is wont to do. But he's also saying, I'm not talking about everyone. There's some really good reporters out there. There's some really good outlets. I hold that view too. Less so about the outlets locally, I suppose. Although our sister stations I like our sister website, but also like the Center Square. I like them. I think they do a good job. They lean to the right. TV, I used to really like Como. Not anymore. Not the way it used to be. King 5 is a dumpster fire. Just awful. This is awful. They're just not good. Fox 13, same thing. They used to be more conservative leaning, or at least more down the middle and objective. Not anymore. Things have changed. Seattle Times is garbage. It's basically The Stranger. In fact, many of the former writers from The Stranger went to go work for the Seattle Times. And you can tell just by reading the stories. You don't even have to look at the bylines. And so kudos to Matt Calkins for doing the right thing, stepping up, deciding that maybe a little bit of discomfort in not having a job in the short term was worth standing up for his beliefs. And the good news in all of this is I have to imagine he will be unemployed for about 10 more minutes. I guarantee you he's going to get swooped up by some outkick, things like that. I guarantee you have already reached out to him, and if they haven't yet, by the end of the weekend, they probably will. He's getting a lot of good attention for this, and he deserves it. He also happens to be really good. I like Matt Calkins. I don't even like sports, but I like him. Did I read all of his columns? No, because they're still about sports. But the ones that weren't just strictly about sports and kind of got into some of the cultural stuff, the one time I think he was able to do it, I read that one. I read his Substack. I read most of his Substack before talking to him yesterday, so I knew what to ask him. Let's find out what else is trending.
What's trending in Tacoma?
Remember the detainees who said they were going on a hunger strike, and I called it just a fast? The fast is over. Their intermittent fast is done after like 3 days. They were all like, yeah, we got hungry, so we started to eat again. So that's not a hunger strike then. How would you define a hunger strike? How does a normal person, when you say, I'm going on a hunger strike, what is the implications of that?
You're willing to not eat until you die if you have to.
I feel so strongly about whatever it is I'm engaging in this hunger strike over. I'm willing to die. I'm willing to put my health on the line. That's how strongly I feel. But they were all like, well, it was Meatloaf Fridays.
I got a bit peckish.
It's just like, eh. And the funny thing is, they were not they were not engaged in a real hunger strike to begin with. They were still drinking, and I guarantee you they were still eating snacks. I guarantee you. And yet still they called it quits. You know what we call those kinds of people? Quitters, losers. They decided to quit. They couldn't even go a week. I've done longer fasts than they did hunger strikes.
I certainly would not be able to do it. I get like, if I don't eat for like half a day, I start to get a little lightheaded.
Well,
like,
you're a girl.
This is like a 5th grade insult. Okay, girl.
That's the first thing that came to mind. A fast is hard, depending on how long it goes, 2 times during a total fast. The first probably 10 hours, it's hard. And then at some point the next day for about an hour, it's hard. But at some point, it just goes away and it's really easy. And you get this weird kind of energy boost around it the longer you go. Obviously, too long, you get weak. But most people can stand to go on a fast just because of, their body weight as it is. They didn't last the full week. They called this the 20th hunger strike, which means they're not going on any hunger strikes. No one was even taken out on a stretcher. Because you can't even argue that at least they used this and they got a taste of freedom because they were so ill they had to be taken to a local hospital. And, of course, the Geo Group, all they had to do was say, we'll give you slightly larger portions if you want. We're throwing away food at this point, so we might as well give you a little bit more of the slop. They're like, oh, okay, we're in. Seattle Times reported those in custody suffered from being served food that contained burned plastic, metal string, rope, splinters, hairs, and worms. Now, where did all that come from? Do you think the Seattle Times independently verified that? Did that come from a whistleblower? No, it was just some of the people inside the detainees speaking to La Resistencia, which is an open borders anti-immigration enforcement extremist group that local media pretend is totally legitimate and just totally mainstream. I don't even think they'd be considered mainstream in Seattle. La Resistencia, they say they don't believe in any deportations. I mean, you find a pretty progressive person in Seattle and to be like, you don't believe in any deport, like not even like one time of one, like a serial killer, not even there, the child rapist, not even that person. Even a progressive will be like, oh, okay, yeah, fine, get rid of those people. Not La Resistencia. They're like, no, we don't want anything. It's just so dumb.
La Resistencia and Seattle's congresswoman, but other than that,
yeah, and well, a few Congress members, because I think you throw in Emily Randall, the forgotten member of Congress, because you forgot her.
Well, I just meant like Seattle specifically, like that district.
Pramila Jayapal, of course, and they're the ones who are, I guess they're saying, this is grassroots action right here. This is how you get change. I think some of them can maybe go on a hunger strike, lose a couple of lbs. Let's find out what else is trending.
What's trending? The economy.
Where's the bottom is a question you probably don't ever want to hear an economics professor ask about your local economy, right? It's just like the whole idea of like, where's the bottom? That's not a good question because that implies things are going bad and you expect it to go even worse, but you're all like, how much worse can it get? And yet that is what one Seattle University associate professor, we couldn't get a real professor, had to get the associate. I'm kidding. His name is Nick Huntington Klein. And speaking to King 5, he said that we're seeing a sustained issue with these big companies doing some significant layoffs. And, of course, the last one yesterday, which we talked about, came from Starbucks. But we're seeing these kinds of layoffs almost every few weeks, like significant layoffs. And AI, especially when we're talking about the tech sector, that is the primary driver of a lot of this. But also you have just the general anti-business environment that these hiring managers and CEOs are saying, enough is enough. We can't do this anymore. Here is the professor.
So we're seeing sort of a sustained issue where a lot of these, especially higher end jobs, are seeing these very big job losses. And this is due to a bunch of factors sort of all hitting us at the same time, right? If you listen to what these companies are saying when they file these notices, some of it has to do with the potential for AI to take the place of some of these jobs. Some of it has to do with overhiring during the pandemic period, where a lot of these tech companies hired huge amounts of people that it turned out that maybe they didn't actually want quite that many people in the long term. They'll also tell you things about increased taxes that we've seen in Washington State and Seattle specifically over time. And so we're seeing a number of reductions in force across a lot of these different companies that are all sort of concentrated in these similar sectors. Information technology being a big one. In the case of Starbucks, a lot of these were at a support center. So Starbucks itself, not really a tech company, but we're seeing similar kinds of jobs leaving the area or disappearing altogether.
And to that last point, it's, Starbucks is not a tech company, and it's not just the tech sector. We pay attention to the tech sector because it's responsible for a disproportionate number of jobs in this region, especially the high-paying jobs. And when Amazon makes these announcements, Microsoft, Google, things like that, it has a bigger impact locally on the economy. But Starbucks, high-paying jobs, not tech. We just got notice today from Twin City Foods. They're laying off 109 workers beginning on November 2nd. That just came out today, this morning. So that's, again, another 109 people out of work in a state that has a higher unemployment rate than the national average. We're at 5, and the national number is 4.2. But when you look specifically at tech, the reason why people are concerned is that we, for the most part, have seen growth in our economy and job growth in general because of the tech sector. We're not going to be seeing that for much longer.
It's hard to say whether tech is going to be dependable going forward, right? We've seen this sort of slide in employment, both in Seattle and generally for tech. We certainly don't see the growth in the area that we were seeing in 2021, 2022. It's sort of leveled off or started to decline a bit. So the question is, where's the bottom? Right? These are still huge companies. These are still companies that are going to need to employ a lot of people. Are they shedding people right now and they're going to be done soon? Or is the slide going to continue? I don't think anybody really knows the answer to that.
Now, again, long term, I'm not that worried with the tech sector itself in the context that AI will create other jobs or allow jobs to evolve into something that they're not currently. I just don't know what the timeline is on that. And no one really knows the timeline. The tech sector doesn't know the timeline. They're obviously accelerating their investment in AI, but we don't know when all of that's going to pay off. And the reality is they're having a hard time right now in the biggest piece of their investment, which are what? Say data centers.
Data centers.
Exactly. Man, we are just on the same page today, Jackson. Data centers, which will create a whole bunch of jobs, which was a point earlier today before getting on a plane to go down to South Carolina, Donald Trump made, saying, look, data centers are going to create a whole bunch of jobs, not just the jobs to sustain the data centers, like the engineers or everything to the janitorial staff, but it's the construction jobs, the plumbing, the contractors that get hired for these projects. That's a lot. And they are spending a ton of money on this. And yet there are folks, some on our side, but a lot of folks on the left are saying, no, we don't want data centers. We're going to put a moratorium for a year. Well, we do know that they have to be built. So where are they going to be built? They could be built here in the United States, or they can go overseas and perhaps China. And China would make sense for the data centers because of all of the chip manufacturing that's going on there. They need a whole lot of chips to run the data centers. And it makes more sense for them to do it there if they're not going to be able to build here. That it makes this a national security issue. You don't want this stuff running through China. Same way you don't want to use TikTok with servers in China. Or dare I say, just don't use TikTok.
I mean, it rots your brain.
It really does. Get your life back, man.
My fiance is addicted to it.
That's sad. You need to have some sort of sit down. We need to have, a come to Jesus moment with her.
There are times where I'm like, okay, babe, you need to put the phone down. And she's like...
and she just scowls at you.
Yeah.
You want me to talk to her? I can send her a note on TikTok. At least that way I know she'll read it.
Yeah.
Just send her a video of just like a stern look and just shaking my head like, no. What are you doing here, lady? What are we doing? It's time for an intervention. All the people in her life sit her down. We're very worried about you, sweetheart. Jackson says you're just on your phone all the time. He doesn't even think you're going to show up to the wedding now. Should be scrolling through. What does she watch on TikTok?
I don't know.
Just any crap that gets on her
yeah,
algorithm?
and then I think she's most entertained by the comments. She thinks the comments are so funny.
That's the worst part of all of this
She's like,
stuff.
people on
Who
TikTok
reads the comments?
She's like, people on TikTok are hilarious. I'm like, they're not that witty.
No, they're not. I find it very hard to believe that anyone on TikTok in a comment section is funny. I reject that completely. The comments on anything are the worst part of all of the social media services. Oh, over the years, Sunset Auto Family's warranty protection for life has paid more than $7 million in warranty claims. Stop by right now for a complimentary warranty health check. They will check the warranty of your vehicle, regardless of where it is you purchased it. Because the last thing you want is a voided warranty when you need coverage the most. You just get more at Sunset. And people do like that. SunsetAutoFamily.com. When we come back, RFK goes after CNN. And hey, Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene are upset with Donald Trump again? What stupid argument did they make this time? We'll get into it and so much more on the Jason Rantz Show.
When you're finally off the clock after a long day, dishes put away, kids asleep, feet kicked up, heartburn. Don't let heartburn take over your hard-earned moment. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Alka-Seltzer effervescent tablets begin neutralizing stomach acid in seconds, so you can get back to your one more episode marathon. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Because nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Use as directed.
Ice Cube's Big 3 season has come down to this. The Big 3 Championship is coming to Charlotte. Who will be crowned the Big 3 Season 9 champion? Plus the Big 3 All-Star Game. The biggest names in the game, all on one court, one more time. 2 games of the most physical, competitive, and non-stop 3-on-3 action. The game played the way you love. Watch live Saturday on CBS at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, and catch replays Monday on BET.
Yay, yay!
Is it time to get your home sold? Nick Southard with Upgrade Realty here. Selling hundreds of homes for over 25 years has taught me presentation is everything. Picture amazing photography, designer staging, and maximum exposure. With my luxurious marketing, you'll sell fast at top dollar and save thousands in fees for just 1% listing commission. To learn more, visit upgraderealty.com. Upgrade your listing for 1%. Upgraderealty.com.
You've worked hard, saved diligently, and now retirement is on the horizon. But will your nest egg go the distance? With rising cost and uncertain markets, there's no time for oversimplified plans. Hi, Jeff here with Madrona Financial and CPAs. Don't settle for a partial plan. Get the real deal by requesting your no-cost Madrona analysis today and discover what you may be missing. Call 833-673-7373 right now to request your analysis. That's 833-673-7373.
Hey, it's Jason Rantz here. If your water heater is getting older, making weird noises, or you've already had one of those "why is the water cold" moments, pay attention. Because a water heater never fails at a convenient time. It fails suddenly, and it fails expensively. CM Heating gives you a way out before that happens. A new gas or electric water heater installed starting at just $44.99 a month. No credit check required. It's their comfort as a service program, and it flips the whole script. Instead of a surprise breakdown cost, you get one predictable monthly payment. Here's what's included: lifetime repairs and lifetime maintenance, so nothing sneaks up on you. And because their expert plumbers install same day, you're not waiting around for hot water. No surprise bill, no scrambling, no cold shower. This is a no-brainer. Go to cmheating.com and schedule your free estimate today. Don't wait and get caught off guard when something goes wrong. Visit cmheating.com. Tell them Jason Rantz sent you. cmheating.com.
License number CMHEAHL 750LP.
Homeowners, stop what you're doing right now and listen up, because Puget Sound Energy has new rebates that have never been this high. If insufficient insulation or no insulation at all in your crawl space or attic are impacting your energy bills, now's the time to get your free inspection from Northwest Crawl Space Services, because these PSC rebates could pay for up to 95% of your project. And that could mean thousands of dollars in savings on your job. But make sure you hire a crawl space company that's PSC certified, because not every company can offer these rebates. Don't miss out. Call today. And the team from Northwest Crawl Space Services are happy to give you a free energy savings consultation. Northwest Crawl Space Services will get rid of the critters, re-insulate your home, and hook you up with big-time savings and PSC rebates. Remember, these guys can solve any crawl space or attic problem, no exceptions. See if you qualify for savings from PSC. Go to nwcrawlspace.com.
Welcome back to the Jason Rantz Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. An interesting fight from RFK Jr., and he's on the right side of this. Undoubtedly. He's going after CNN because some reporter was assigned to Kennedy's new YouTube channel or YouTube show called The Real Food Show. And it was launched about a month or so ago. And it's a cooking series promoting nutritious meals that cost under $5 per serving. And the point is to highlight you could have affordable meals for your family while also eating healthy. I have no idea why, other than just how broken a lot of these people are, but I have no idea why anyone would be upset that he's doing this. I was on a panel, we talked about this very briefly, and they kind of just bristled at us, like, oh, are you going to watch this show? Like, well, no, I'm not, no, but this is not for me. I don't understand why, of all the things to upset you, why is it this? So, of course, they can't just be upset that he's doing it. They have to find a reason to be upset. So they're claiming that it's not really $5 per meal to have, because they're choosing to, and this is so unbelievable. Tom Foreman is the reporter here. He's choosing to intentionally change the way anyone looks at the cost of meals per serving. This is the argument he's making.
This was the cheapest frozen wild-caught sockeye salmon we could find, the closest to what they are using. They priced theirs at $8.99. The cheapest we could find, even with the deal from the store, was more than $24. Now, the greens mix, that was about the same cost. So were the eggs on a per-egg basis, but that's the trick here.
That's a good point, because usually when I go to the store, I buy one egg or two eggs at a time. I don't buy a whole dozen. That's a really good point. And, you know, granted, he said this bag of greens is about the same price. Here's the trick. You open it in the store, you just take a handful out, and then it's much cheaper. Isn't that how you shop? That's how I shop.
I'm usually just kind of grazing as I make my way down the aisle.
Because they're only pricing that one egg out of the carton. And that gets worse with other things. For example, this red onion. They say they only spent 8 cents on this because that's how much they used. Getting the whole onion cost us more than $1. Oh. And look at this. This is the avocado mayonnaise. They priced this at 40 cents because they were only using a couple of tablespoons. To buy the whole thing cost us more than $11.
Oh, so you can see what they're doing here. And RFK, he ripped into them on X, saying Trump derangement syndrome has so debilitated Erin Burnett, because she's the host of the show that they aired this, that she has abandoned both common sense and basic arithmetic. CNN wants us to incorporate the full package price of every ingredient, regardless of what is used in the recipe. If you put a squirt of ketchup on your burger, would you be surprised if the restaurant charged you the whole bottle? The Real Food Show uses standard recipe costing. We count what the recipe actually uses. The rest stays in your kitchen for the next meal and the meals after that. Our goal is simple: help Americans reclaim their kitchens, cook healthy food without breaking the bank, and stock their pantries with high-quality ingredients they can use again and again. That's how we make America healthy again. He's 100% correct. Who in their right mind looks at this and says, well, he meant $5 a serving, but the reality is seriously? This is what we're complaining about? It's just made up. Of all the things to complain about, by the way, this is what you choose to not only misunderstand intentionally, but this is where you're upset. Oh, my God. How do you deal with people like this? How does one deal with this?
You can't.
You can't. And they're applying standards in this case that they don't apply elsewhere. It's like saying on average someone gets a 10% cash back from the IRS. And someone like, I only got 7%. They lied. Or someone goes, I owed money. They lied. Well, no, you owed money. We're talking about the average, you dummy. So you want how else do they do this if this is how we're now pricing recipes? This is the only way I guess they can do it. They're going to have to come up. The new show will be focused on feeding a family of 22, and that's how it'll all make sense. And so be very specific. If you have a family of 22, our recipe will only cost you $4.13 a meal. Because everything you buy, you're going to use every single ingredient to the grain of salt. It's the other, we only used a pinch of salt, but this salt shaker costs us $3.27. Okay, then put the whole canister in there. Does that make you feel better? I don't understand.
And we calculated that we used $5 of gas driving to the store.
Yeah, I'm surprised they did not include that. I'm surprised they didn't include that. And by the way, on that, when you plug in or something, do they judge how far you go based on how long it takes you to get to one location, or does it just do this is how much you get per mile? These people are nuts. Otherwise, it was a great piece of journalism, and I'm proud to call myself a fan or something. Breathe in, breathe out. I am.
The show's a good idea, though.
Wouldn't it be kind of fun? You find all the families that have 22 people.
Well, no, I meant RFK show is a good idea, but that would be entertaining too.
I would rather see.
Yeah, that would be.
Well, and the thing is, you know what they could, just to call their bluff, next time use absolutely every ounce of every ingredient and just say we're food planning for the entire week. Again, I watch some of these videos on YouTube, not from RFK, but just like YouTubers that I subscribe to. And they do similar things. They're like, here's how you can have a week's worth of food for under $100. The equivalent, and no one complains about that. The equivalent of that is, here's to have one night's meal for under $10 or, whatever it happens to be. This did make me hungry, and now I want steak. Can you see if they have a steak recipe on the YouTube channel?
Seems like something RFK would be into, so they probably do.
Yeah, well, it might be a bear fillet or something.
Yeah, that's true.
Ugh. Speaking of steak, speaking of beef, The Hill says 2 Republicans push back on the Trump administration's decision to temporarily lift certain tariffs on imported ground beef as the president tries to bring down the prices of beef for American consumers. The cost of beef is going up. There's a very specific reason around that. We'll get to that in a second. And 2 Republicans complained. One's not in office anymore, Marjorie Taylor Greene. The other one is Thomas Massie, who before said he was against tariffs, but now he's for tariffs.
And he won't be in office soon either.
Exactly.
So.
I don't know how The Hill justifies writing this other than to say they're just looking for anyone to quote who are upset with Donald Trump. You can then have a story every single day with just Thomas Massie alone. But we learned this morning that he just finalized a deal that would lower the price of ground beef by allowing up to 300,000 metric tons of ground beef to be imported without an out-of-quota tariff for the next 90 days. And the imported product would be sold at 25% below the market price. And yet Thomas Massie, who again is against tariffs, but now he's for them, called this a, quote, slap in the face to American cattlemen and consumers. It's cattle people, by the way. He tweeted it out. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she also complained that this is, quote, making it even harder for American beef ranchers and producers. Both of their criticisms show how absolutely monumentally stupid they are on this issue. They have no idea what it is they're talking about. This does not make it harder for cattlemen or cattle people and producers. We have a historically small cattle herd right now. Okay? This does not do anything to make the cattle herd smaller, which is the only reason why prices are so high. We have high demand, right? But we have low supply. And so if you're worried about pricing, what do you do in a circumstance like that? You increase the supply. Well, they can't increase the supply now. It turns out you can't just build a cow. I say build a bear. Doesn't work that way.
Build a cow workshop.
It takes a little bit of time. First, they're little calves.
First, when a mommy cow and a daddy cow love each other.
First, you got to find two that are into each other.
Yeah.
You got to put them on an app, have them swipe right, a lot of swiping left while they're chewing their own cud, and then they finally connect. Then they
and then they're a situationship for a while.
Yeah, and then, there's a little bit of ghosting going on that makes her feel a little bit bad, and then, the whole, pro-abortion crowd within the calf community is getting way out of control. But, it
and
eventually...
the male cow realizes, okay, I really can't do better, so fine, I'll go.
It's like, I thought I could do better. I wasn't ghosting you. I was just out of town for a bit. Out of town. I can see you. We're sharing the same field. You were just, I'm literally looking at you. I've been staring at you this entire time. But understand what's actually in this. Pushing aside, again, they're just stupid arguments that they're making that's unrelated to any of these issues. They're just looking for a reason to complain. This is not a surrender. It's a 90-day pause. It's literally just 90 days on putting a pause on this out-of-quota rate, and it's a limit of 300,000 metric tons of ground beef. That's it. It goes immediately back in 90 days, and it doesn't go past the 300,000 metric tons. That's what we're talking about here. You cannot fix a supply problem in 90 days. The herd hit a record low of 86.2 million head as of January. Beef cow inventory is down, according to CNBC, 8.6%. It's been down not under Donald Trump, but since 2020. This is the smallest we've had since the 1950s. Okay? And so one of these cows today, it takes up until like 2029 to really develop the amount of herd you need in order to make our burgers, essentially. So this is just insane. And by the way, because this is from Argentina, we're talking about, this applies only to lean beef trimmings. So we're only talking about ground beef. We're not talking about like ribeyes and things like that. We're being very specific on what this is for. It's for ground beef. It's not even the ground beef. It's for ground beef. That's it. That's it. And to bring costs down, right now it's $6.89 a pound, which is up about 57% since 5 years ago. This brings it down pretty significantly. Ground beef is up 9% since July. This is going to bring that number down. But Massey, all of a sudden, no, we need that tariff. I mean, all the other tariffs, it's just a tax against people. This I guess, is not, or something. What do we do? I'm in a mood today.
Did you not get a haircut?
I didn't. Does it look like I got a
No.
haircut? Wrong answer, jerk. What do you mean it doesn't look like I got a haircut? This is a good hair day.
Well, yeah, it's not that it's bad. It just doesn't look like you got a haircut. That's all. It doesn't mean it's bad hair. Your hair is always good.
Why were you laughing and smiling when you said that? There's a camera on you, and I'm looking right at you. No one believes you. I guess I'll give you points for trying to save yourself. But you just made it worse because you couldn't even not break a smile. What a jerk. What did I ever do to you? You jealous of my hair? Is that what it is?
No. I mean,
wrong answer.
Well, envy's a deadly sin. That's all. But
I don't care. So I'm not the one envious. It's you. 1-800-465-8770. Bad news for ghosts. The ghost unemployment rate is going to skyrocket. We will explain when we come back on the Jason Rantz Show.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual-active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
When you see this in your kitchen,
the stainless steel fridge is covered in fingerprints.
you hear this.
Leslie, people are going to think you were raised in a barn or by wolves or raised in a barn by wolves.
Fortunately, Wyman Stainless Steel 3-in-1 cleans, shines, and protects to give you the best shine. A spray and a wipe will have your fridge shining like a mirror.
Wow, my fridge looks brand new. Your fridge looks amazing, Leslie. Sorry, I was being a little dramatic earlier.
Your kitchen says a lot about you. Let it brag with Wyman.
Sunset Ford of Sumner has been telling you the truth about pricing all this time. Jason Rantz here. But it's really easy to get confused by what some Ford dealers out there are saying. They're saying they're offering employee pricing. Employee pricing? No Ford dealer has a competitive advantage in price over any other Ford dealer. Those are facts. And anyone who tells you otherwise, it's spin. It's marketing spin. And that's a problem because I don't want you getting taken advantage of. I want you going with Sunset Ford of Sumner if you're in the market for a Ford because you're getting that same low price, but then you get more. You simply get more. Warranty protection for life, oil changes for life, repairs for life. These aren't gimmicks. It's the foundation of how Sunset does business. They take care of you so that they can retain you as a customer for years and years and years. It's really that simple. Customers love it, so it's a win-win. Head on down to Sunset Ford of Sumner. Not only do you get employee pricing like everyone else, but you can get oil changes for life, warranty protection for life, repairs for life. SunsetAutoFamily.com, Sunset Ford of Sumner.
There's a place where the world feels quieter, where mornings rise over your own private lake and evenings settle across rolling land that's yours to explore. The Stillwater Ranch, over 1,300 acres in eastern Washington, offers luxury, privacy, and a life shaped by the land itself. A home built for comfort and a landscape built for legacy. This isn't just a property. It's where stories are lived and passed on. Discover the Stillwater Ranch at fayranches.com.
I felt a jackhammering pain in my jaw.
Like someone sawing my bones. Barbed wire in my shoulder.
Like a cattle prod in my hip.
Like I put my foot in a blender.
Pain is different for everyone. But where pain starts, Jurnavix suzetrigine begins. Jurnavix is a non-opioid 50-milligram prescription tablet for adults with moderate to severe acute pain that reduces pain signals before they reach the brain. Before those signals tell the brain to feel
like I punched an angry beehive.
And pain reduction can finally begin. Do not take Jurnavix with CYP3A inhibitors. Avoid use with grapefruit or liver problems as these may increase side effects. Tell your doctor about all your medicines if you are pregnant or breastfeeding. Jurnavix may make certain medicines and birth control less effective. Side effects include itching, muscle spasms, rash, and elevated muscle enzymes. To learn more about Jurnavix, ask your doctor. Call 1-833-589-PAIN or visit jurnavix.com.
Is the volatility of the stock market driving you crazy? Is your retirement account sinking, yet you're getting older and you're starting to worry about, will I have enough for retirement? What about the money in the bank? These banks pay nothing these days. How do we get growth to get to retirement? It's simple. Move into gold and silver. Want to know how to do it? Listen to my show, Striking Gold, with me, Kenny Michaels.
Sundays at 11 a.m. on Seattle Red.
the Jason Rantz Show. Really do appreciate it. Some really bad news for the ghosts. A community that not enough people care about. They're about to see unemployment go through the roof because there's a war on ghost jobs that the Wall Street Journal has a report on. Now, I haven't actually read the whole thing, just the headline. But I already know it's going to be, a pretty spooky time for the ghost community not being able to find these ghost jobs.
First, we're going after their Second Amendment rights with ghost guns.
It's too much. And then we kind of like what we did to Karen, we did to the ghosts when it comes to people not responding on dating apps or texting after dates, just getting ghosted. And now this, we've gone too far. So have you heard of the term ghost jobs? It's kind of popped up over the course of the last few years, I guess. But it's basically a job posting that an employer doesn't have an intention of filling, that it's just kind of there. And there's a few reasons behind that. Sometimes it's not due to malice or anything or even sometimes sloppiness, like they made a mistake. It's just that they had the intention of hiring, but then their budget went away and they just didn't take it down. Or they're saying, hey, maybe the budget situation is going to change in a month. Let's keep this job posting up there and see what kind of candidates we attract, and we get some good ones, we can hang on to them. But there are also some bad reasons why they're doing this and are, in fact, nefarious, that the motives are to give the impression that a company might be growing when it's not. It's to signal openness to outside talent. It's sometimes being used, and I can appreciate this one, to convince staff members that, hey, we're going to replace you if you don't figure your stuff out. Some of it is also just like, hey, you're overworked, but don't worry, we're hiring some help. Help is on the way, but they're never going to actually hire for that position, which is not why we've had an associate producer position for the Jason Rantz Show up there for the last, how long have you been here?
Like a little over 2.5 years.
Yeah, for the last 2.5 years. It's just hard to find good talent. And I'm notoriously picky. And we do have Duncan who's here to help you, the 11-year-old intern. So this article takes us through this problem. And there's this software company for jobs called Greenhouse. It found about 19% of jobs online on these online job boards in Q2 were considered ghost listing, which is defined as postings that drew at least one application but produced no hiring activity. They are, sometimes, by the way, I do understand why they do it. It's to create a candidate pipeline for when they do anticipate having the job open. But there's been a legislative response. In New York, for example, they've already passed through the House and the Senate. Now it's just waiting. Kathy Hochul, the governor, if she'll sign this. It would require employers to disclose when they expect a role to be filled, and there would be fines attached to it. There's a bill being debated right now in Pennsylvania that would require accurate hiring intentions and deadlines for pulling posts. I don't know how you legislate the first part, like accurate hiring intentions. I mean, how do you prove someone didn't have the right intentions? Having a deadline on pulling the job post, okay, that makes sense. Again, I don't know if we should be legislating that. That seems to be overstepping. Ken Paxton in Texas, who of course is running for senator, he opened an investigation into LinkedIn over profiting from fake ads. They say they have policies requiring authentic listings, and they're obviously denying any wrongdoing. So there is some response to this. And if you're someone who's stuck in this and you're applying to a job and you never hear back, part of me wonders if we're just making excuses for not getting a job and saying, oh, it must have been a ghost job. Or maybe you weren't qualified. Or you're just being put in a really tough spot. You're saying no to certain jobs that you otherwise would maybe get because you're hoping for a response from this dream job that's not real. That's a problem. And they talk about in this article the human cost of all of this. They talked to Heather Stanford, a 44-year-old Austin area marketer who's not been working since May of last year, who says, and I find this somewhat hard to believe and also scary, she says she applied to over 3,000 jobs which I either don't believe or she's the worst applicant in the history of the world. They say she burned through about $40,000 in savings. She cut back on meals, and now she's moving in with her father. Something tells me there's a little bit more to that story. 3,000 jobs. They're not all ghost jobs. Even if we were to go with the worst data point there, the 19%. Let's go half. Let's say 50% are ghost jobs. So 1,500 jobs of her 3,000 or so were fake. What about the 1,500? Doesn't that seem suspicious to you?
I mean, I guess it's possible. Like LinkedIn, for example, has that like easy apply feature.
But then that's on you though, because you're just hitting an apply button for everything. So
you didn't really apply.
I'm not counting that as an application. If you didn't put any effort into it, you're just like auto applying to absolutely everything that says marketing or whatever it happens to be. The ghost jobs largely don't register in federal labor statistics, according to this article, which count only openings that could start within 30 days with active outside recruiting. So we don't really know the extent of the problem. I'm sympathetic, but also I'm wary of the government getting involved in this, especially when there might be completely legitimate reasons that the so-called ghost jobs exist. I can see the other side of this, I suppose. And especially if you're going to assign some kind of financial penalties to jobs or to employers for engaging in this kind of thing, where, as I said, sometimes, you put up a job application and then 2 weeks later something happens in the business and you're like, I just don't have the money now for this. And you hope that in 2 weeks things will change, or a month things will change. So I'm leaning in the con category on all of this. And I'm a fan of ghosts. 1-800-465-8770 if you want to send me a text. You can't even see them. Leave them alone. They didn't do anything to you. Oh, I'm scared.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-292-4541 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-292-4541. That's 800-292-4541. What do you have to lose? Call 800-292-4541. Again, 800-292-4541.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those words weren't written for history books. They were written for you. But it's hard to pursue happiness when aging is part of everyday life. John Curley here. Longevity Medical Clinic was created to help people with overall wellness and longevity, including diabetes management, heart health, weight management, inflammation reduction, nutrition, cognitive health, hormone therapy, and more. I can tell you from personal experience, being a patient for 17 years, I have a richer, fuller life, and I'm better able to pursue my own happiness. As America celebrates 250 years of independence, give yourself the chance to reclaim yours. Independence from aging. Take control of your health before small issues become big problems. Experience a smarter, proactive approach to aging, backed by decades of experience with longevity. Do what I did and feel like yourself again. Get your free health analysis at Longevity Medical Clinic. Find out how at lmclinic.com.
Jason Rantz here. If your water heater is getting older, leaking, or running out of hot water, CM Heating has an affordable solution. Get a new gas or electric water heater installed starting at just $44.99 a month. With CM Heating's Comfort as a Service program, you'll get lifetime repairs and maintenance at no extra charge. parts and labor covered for life. Plus, same-day installation is available in many cases. Schedule your free estimate today at cmheating.com.
License number CMHEAHL 750LP.
Mitch here at Leathers, Washington's most eclectic home furnishings resource. There's a lot of chaos in the world, so take a break from social media and self-serving politicians. At Leathers in Issaquah, our design professionals will guide you to a happy place by elevating your home environment. More than leather, choose some of the latest fabrics and solid wood, something for every room in your home. Our guaranteed low prices, quality, and service will lower your blood pressure and be kind to your wallet. So check the chaos at the door and come experience a Zen moment at Leathers in Issaquah.
Seattle Red on 770 KTTH Seattle, 97.3 KIRO FM, HD3 Tacoma Seattle, 94.5 K233 DT Eastway, 33 BU Seattle.
He says it's vital for national security. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump posting on Truth Social he's grateful for the decision by Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts that will allow construction on the White House ballroom to continue.
It's going to be close to $400 million, and it's all paid for by patriots and patriotic companies, big companies.
The temporary order came hours before lower court rulings would have forced the above-ground construction of the project because Congress did not approve it. The administration has argued the president has authority to renovate the White House and other federal buildings, and the ballroom project is needed for national security reasons. This hour, the president in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, rallying in support of Senator Darlene Graham, who faces a runoff election on Tuesday. He was asked about her performance at a recent debate where she appeared to stumble on a question about national security when it comes to Taiwan and the South China Sea.
She was being honest. I mean, she's into the price of groceries, the price of food, the price of beef, and it hasn't been her thing, but she's surrounded by very good people.
Senator Graham admitted during the debate she was not well versed in national security, but supported the military. Her brother, the late Senator Lindsey Graham, served in the Air Force for 3 decades and had a wide knowledge of national security. The defense has rested in the murder trial of Lindsay Clancy, the Massachusetts woman charged with murdering her 3 young children in 2023.
A leading expert in filicides, cases where parents kill their children, testified Lindsay Clancy heard a male voice commanding her to kill her 3 children and herself. Defense witness Dr. Philip Resnick says Clancy delusionally believed she was morally right and lacked the capacity to stop.
Fox's Brian Yennis in Plymouth. Prosecutors say Clancy only recorded suicidal thoughts and not homicidal. America's listening to Fox News.
When I hit my 50s, I felt like things were slowing down.
This is Sandra's Metamucil story.
I started taking Metamucil for digestion, but had no idea it would impact so much more. Not only did Metamucil help me feel more regular, but my heart health saw the benefits too.
Metamucil. One simple routine, 4 health benefits. Digestive health starts here. Go to Metamucil.com for more details.
Ice Cube's Big 3 season has come down to this. The Big 3 Championship is coming to Charlotte. Who will be crowned the Big 3 Season 9 champion? Plus the Big 3 All-Star Game. The biggest names in the game, all on one court, one more time. 2 games of the most physical, competitive, and non-stop 3-on-3 action. The game played the way you love. Watch live Saturday on CBS at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, and catch replays Monday on BET.
Yay, yay! The yellow light! I'm walking here!
Good afternoon and welcome to the Jason Rantz Show. We are here live on Seattle Red 770 AM, online at seattlered.com. We got a ton to get to this hour, including how it's going to be much more difficult for some to get their driver's licenses in Washington state. If that were about, illegal immigrants, we would say, oh, that's actually good news. It's not. It's definitely not. If anything, they're going to make it easy for them. We'll explain why. But first, some interesting news out of the world of lying liars who lie in politics. That's what's trending. Brought to you by Legacy Group Capital's Northwest Fund.
What's trending on the campaign trail?
This is not necessarily new information, but it is a good time to remind you that your official voter's pamphlet is allowed to completely lie to you. not provide analysis you disagree with. Obviously, it's going to do that because it includes, the political arguments from candidates and campaigns. But they're allowed to just flat out lie to you, tell you something that is verifiably false. They can do it in bad faith. And the Secretary of State is acknowledging that. Again, that's not new. But State Senator Chris Gildon, the Republican from Puyallup, he emailed the Elections Division with a really simple question. He's obviously in favor of repealing the income tax. He is a yes vote on Initiative 645. Remember, yes on 3 of the initiatives. There's only 3. You're yes on all of them. He had the opponents of this initiative. He saw this rebuttal statement claiming any future change to Washington's income tax law would go to the ballot and that voters would have the final say. That's what the opponents, the Democrats who want to keep the income tax, say in the voters pamphlet. And Gildon was all like, can you all tell us, are you allowed to just print something that's patently false, knowingly false? And the response he got from the Secretary of State's office was 8 words. Am I counting? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We do not verify arguments for truth or fact. That's actually 9. I was off by 1 word. We do not verify arguments for truth or fact. That's the review process. We make sure that the paragraph the committee submitted matches the paragraph that gets printed. That's it. Truth is not on this checklist from the Secretary of State. Then that pamphlet filled with a lie or 12 goes into the mailbox of every single registered voter in the state of Washington. You don't need a law degree. You don't need to be politically savvy to understand the lie that is in this particular pamphlet on the initiative. And it's not even the only lie. Not only do they claim that the future ones would get to go to a vote, which is made up, that's completely made up, but they also claim that it rolls back tax breaks on things like diapers and whatnot. That's not in the initiative at all. That is 100% not in the initiative. So the 2 main points coming from the no on Initiative 645 campaign are lies. Absolute lies, verifiably so, objectively so. And so even though this is not new in the context you've always been able to lie, it's worth reminding people because you're going to deal with this in the real world as there are people who actually read the voters pamphlet. They actually exist. In fact, I imagine a lot of you might be one of those people who actually look at the voters pamphlet, at least on the races that you're not familiar with. And there's going to be a ton that you're not familiar with. It's okay. There's going to be a ton I'm not all that familiar with.
It's probably the nerdiest thing about me is that I read that.
Yeah, that's okay. There's actually, I mean, you're a nerd, and that's not the nerdiest thing about you. But I think people should do that. You should be reading it. Just you have to understand that you still need to verify anything you read, including the stuff you agree with. The whole campaign to defeat the repeal of the income tax is based on lying to you, manipulating you. That's it. Because they don't have a good argument to be made. There's sometimes, look, on initiatives or candidates, I may not agree with them, but they can make valid arguments. Be like, yeah, I hear your argument. I think that's a fair argument. I disagree with it. Here's why. But they can't even do that. And so they're just lying. They're just flat out lying. And keep in mind, we're already dealing with the fact that Nick Brown printed a lie on the initiative itself that every voter is going to have to read. It tells you that if you vote to repeal the income tax, you end up cutting education funding. That is not true. That is verifiably false. So we're already having to deal with that. Now, on top of it, we have to deal with the lie in the voters pamphlet. They are trying to manipulate all of this. They're trying to steal this. Yeah. Not in the traditional sense of changing the votes behind the scenes. They're not doing that. They're trying to manipulate the system. The whole system itself is corrupt, but we can still win. The system is corrupt doesn't mean we can't win. It just means we got to work a little bit harder to win. And I'm up for that fight. I wish that weren't the case, that we would have to do this, but I'm up for that fight. The question is, are you? The person who's listening right now in Chehalis or on Mercer Island, the family in Tukwila, or the single creepy guy who lives in Sultan, the gem of Snohomish County. You got some creepy guys there. We're all still on the same page. That we need to make sure that we reverse course, get us back on the right path, help keep wealth in Washington by rejecting the income tax and voting yes on this initiative. I'm up for the challenge. You need to be as well. And that means we got to do a little bit more work than their side. They're going to get the easy way out and just lie. Part of me just says, why don't we just lie ourselves in the voters pamphlet? I don't want to become that person, but I do think it would be kind of amusing just to flat out lie. Say, no, if you vote yes, puppies will be given to little orphan children. If you vote no, both the puppies and the orphan kids, dead. Executed. Do you want to kill a bunch of children? And, well, a bad question for the liberals, but do you want to kill a bunch of puppies? No? Then you better vote yes. Why don't we just do that? A no vote on this initiative means Bob Ferguson becomes king. So vote yes if you want to make sure he's not a king. Hashtag no kings. Just lie. Might as well. Why should they be the only ones who do it? And again, I say that half jokingly. I don't want to lie on this. I mean, I do, but I won't. I wouldn't do that to myself or to other people. Some of us still have morals and values and principles that we're trying to uphold. Let's find out what else is trending.
What's trending? Let's get political.
Shama Sawant is big mad at AOC and Zoran Mamdani, and it feels like a mistake for Shama Sawant to think she's going to be able to bring down AOC and Zoran Mamdani, the two faces of the far-left movement. AOC is not a traditional socialist the way that Mamdani is, but she's awfully close. She's very obviously a face of the far-left movement. Zoran Mamdani is the current socialist movement. He is the face of it. And she's all upset because first AOC said that woke one was crazy, and then some of the Democrats pretended that they didn't actually know what that meant. Then Zoran Mamdani was asked about it, and he basically said that to defend some of the people who were part of the woke one movement, saying, sometimes people change their minds. It's okay. People evolve on the issues. And so they were talking specifically about police defunding, which they now recognize was a mistake to utter publicly. They still believe all these views. They just realized that it was a mistake to say it out loud because the vast majority of the country not only doesn't believe that, but we know what it did when we defunded police in this country in individual blue cities. So Sawant was upset that they're walking back their defund positions, writing on X, the two most prominent DSA electeds, AOC and Zoran Mamdani, are betraying in broad daylight the movement against racism and police brutality. There is zero prospect for movements to succeed in slashing the $120 billion budget of U.S. police departments, shutting down ICE, and ending the genocide in Gaza unless we fight against both the Democratic and Republican parties. This also means exposing the progressive and DSA Democratic Party politicians when they act as gatekeepers and betray our movements. Imagine coming off of a third-place loss in an election, having the audacity to say that Zoran Mamdani and AOC are betraying your movement, that they're the gatekeepers. They're now apparently the establishment. I love this. This makes me giddy.
The revolution always eats its own.
Every single time. Every single time. And that it comes after AOC or goes after AOC and Mamdani, that makes it even more delightful. Now, not that Sawant is a threat. She's not a threat at all. No one cares about what Sawant has to say outside of a very small group of anti-American, anti-Semitic fringe losers who work third shifts at the 24-hour, Starbucks, still living at home in Kirkland with their privileged family that they feel guilt about being privileged over. But some of this could start to metastasize. Some of it can grow and spread, and all of a sudden you're going to see these same fringe voices in Portland start to say the same thing, then San Francisco, and it just gets across the. It'll be slow, but it will be glorious to see how these lunatics end up taking down Mamdani and AOC. I mean, these people are so extreme, they're saying Mamdani and AOC aren't extreme enough, that they're too liberal. They're too moderate. They're those stupid moderates in Mamdani. Cori Bush, total moderate. Pramila Jayapal, just too down the middle. Mark Pocan, oh my God, we need someone who's, to the left. See, basically George W. Bush. I mean, that's how these people think, which is insane. Which is why they get their candidate of choice. It's important to pay attention. They're all excited about Angie Nixon, the now Florida Senate candidate, Democrat, who beat, what's his name?
Vindman. Alex Vindman.
Alex Vindman. I always mix him up with Eugene Vindman because they look the same. Did we establish, are they twins?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, I was like, they look exactly the same. This was a shock in the context that Vindman thought it was going to be an easy victory. He raised almost $17 million, and then he gets his butt kicked. Now everyone's looking at Angie Nixon, the socialist running, say, ooh, there's an actual threat. I've made this point a few times on CNN because I now have to talk to a lot of Democrats.
That's too bad.
I know. I kid. But they privately will say, yeah, for example, in Michigan, El Sayed is not going to win. It's going to take a big miracle for Mike Rogers to lose in Michigan. But on air, they'll say, oh, no, it's going to be close. We're going to – in Florida, on air, they're saying there's no chance in the world that she wins, right? They're not even – they don't have to hide that. No one thinks that Angie Nixon is going to win. And here's the latest reason.
And also – it's not radical, it's not extreme to want to make sure that we end for-profit prisons. What's wrong with that? Because all they want is cheap labor or free labor, modern day slavery, right?
No, not right. No, it's not right. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that because we have, college degrees. We have a basic understanding of what words mean.
Actually, a college degree these days might make you more likely to agree with her.
Yeah, that's fair. Go to Evergreen. You come out sounding like Angie Nixon, lunatic. Did you know that every qualifying new and used vehicle of the Sunset Auto family comes with oil changes for life? You get up to 5 a year. That's going to save you thousands of dollars over the lifetime of your vehicle. So visit our friends at the Sunset Auto family in Auburn and Sumner, online at sunsetautofamily.com. Let's find out what else is trending.
What's trending on the road?
If you are getting a license in the future here in Washington State, it's going to be much more difficult. In some cases, it kind of makes sense. In others, it's just needlessly wasting time. Joining us in studio is Chris Sullivan from our sister station, Karen News Radio. You have this piece up about how it's about to get a lot harder. It's not going to be more difficult in the sense of you need more intellect in order to do any of this stuff for the most part. It's more onerous.
Well, yeah, they're changing the requirements for what you need to do to get your first license. And we are talking about people getting their first licenses in Washington State.
So for folks at home, we're talking about your kids for
pretty
the most
much
part.
Anyone 16 to now 25 years old. So the window is now kind of expanded. The one thing they're doing a couple of things over the next couple of months. They're rolling out a brand new training section, education section of work zone safety, first responder safety. An hour-long course. It's online. It's free, but it's another section you have to do and a separate test that you have to pass as part of driver's training. That goes live September 1st. Anyone applying for a license after November 1st, this will now start applying to them. Anyone under the age of 25 trying to get their first license, including people who have licenses licenses from other states. Say you're coming here to go to UW and you get a Washington license, you're going to have to pass this test if you're under 25. Again, it's free. It's all about work zone safety. It was something that was passed by the legislature.
And emergency responder
emergency
training.
responders, move over, how to zipper merge, what the cones mean.
I'm okay with the zipper merge.
Yeah, me too. It's about time they're actually physically talking about it, because it's not covered in the driver's guide right now, the specific maneuver. But the longer term impact of what we're seeing out of the changes is starting January 1st, they are upping the age, they being the Department of Licensing, for when you actually need to pay for and take driver's education. And it's going to go up a year in age every year until 2030. So by 2030, anyone trying to get their first license who's under 22 years old will now have to go and take driver's education. Right now, if you're 18, you can be like, not taking it in high school, not whatever. Just go pass the written test, the driving test, you get your license. No, starting January 1st, if you're 18, you need driver's ed. The year after that, it's 19, 20, 21. So they're adding the amount of people that need to actually physically take this driving test.
I find it so amusing that in Washington, you don't have to go to law school or even take the bar, and they'll make you a lawyer in certain circumstances. But when it comes to this, they're going in the opposite direction, saying, no, you actually do have to go and take a course, which you don't necessarily have to take
but then again,
to be able to be a good driver.
Well, the thing is that the statistics bear out nationally
Sometimes.
and in Washington State that younger drivers, we're talking those from 16 to 25, have a higher rate of crashes, and they have a higher rate of fatal crashes than certain other groups. And so the state believes that maybe a little extra education or ensuring that younger drivers get a fuller education to this might be helpful in trying to bring those numbers
But here's
down.
an easy way to dismiss that. You're doing this through 2030. If it is a serious issue and this is about saving lives, why not do it immediately? Why not
graduating
raise,
they're graduating the years of the adding. Why not just make it 22 today
or 25
good
today?
Point.
They could do all of this right now if they wanted, or by the end of whatever it is, when they're implementing this 1 year. Why not just do it all at once? You're telling me the state is saying we're doing this to protect lives, right? And I believe that. I think that's why they're doing this. They believe that. Okay, well then why is it that you don't want to save more lives right now rather than extend it and risk lives up until 2030?
Well, because we like phasing things in.
Well, no, it's just stupid. It's because it doesn't really make any sense.
That's a really good point. I don't know why.
That's why I push back at the argument that this is about safety. The same way, in the city of Edmonds, we've been talking about, they're putting in the cameras so they can do 24/7 to make sure you're not speeding in the school zone. This is about saving lives. Okay, well, why are the fees different? And why are you saying no to the flock cameras?
That one I think is a straight money grab. I think we can all agree on that.
It doesn't make any sense.
That one I can agree on. Now, the thing that I see is, for this is it's going to be impactful for people who didn't, I'm not sure when's the last time you took driver's education. My son Tommy went through it not all that long ago.
I'm only 29.
I know that's true, so hasn't been that long. I mean, it could be $1,000. It could cost $1,000. It's really expensive.
It's making some people wealthy.
Right. Well, the thing, and not the state.
You're now making more people wealthy
because they're all private, because they took it out of schools so long ago, and it's become kind of the private cottage industry.
They are making tax.
But that is true. But I mean, and so the one thing they are going to look at is of course, there's a voucher system for low income folks that they're working out as well. And I think that's one of the reasons why they're not doing it right away is they haven't really finished, polishing this up. They're still painting the bedrooms while people are moving in. So that may be one of the reasons why
that speaks to
they're
another
graduating.
Underlying issue.
It's
with
why not wait until you got it all put together?
Just figure this out. We have to have 10 different committees coming up with 10 different things. It's not that difficult. You say that it's about saving lives. Okay. You say that you will help save lives by extending it to the age of 25. Okay. You acknowledge that there are people who are not going to be able to afford this. Okay. How many people can't afford it? Where does the money have to? Just do it all now. Just figure it out and then unveil it. It does not make any sense.
Well, the legislature did just pass this in 2025, so they've had about a year to figure it out.
You need 12 years.
I know. Well, I mean, we are the state.
They're running on a
Sound
Transit
blue
project timeline.
Yeah,
but seriously, it just does not make sense. I'm done with it.
That. But again, I'm just you don't kill the messenger.
I'm not mad at you.
But that's the bottom line. I think so it just means is like my son Tommy had a few friends who didn't take it in high school, then just did it at 18 or 19, no big deal. They passed the test, whatever. But now, so it's just if you're planning ahead, if you've got a kid that age, the goalposts have changed a little bit on this. And so maybe you should take driver's ed earlier when you do it with your buddies as opposed to waiting because there's no real financial incentive. It's only going to be more expensive.
What happened to mom or dad just taking the kid to an empty parking lot in, Kenmore at 6 a.m. and doing it that way?
Because there's no money in
the
that.
IKEA in Renton, use their parking lot on a early morning Tuesday.
That's what I did. Well, I ended up taking a physical driving school.
And I did that
thing.
too.
But
which
my dad
for the most part,
was really more the guy there with me doing it. Mom wouldn't get in the car with me.
Maybe things have changed now, but as I remember, they have you watch some videos which don't do anything other than
blood on the windshield.
Yeah, it's just that's it. And then they go in and you practice with someone. That's the only part that matters. They're practicing getting behind the wheel of a car, getting a feel for the vehicle, and sort of calming your nerves in that kind of environment. That's what matters. The whole getting them into a classroom where you're just watching a bunch of snuff films.
Yeah,
we don't need that.
No, but and it's a lot different than that now. The classroom instruction is much better when Tom went through it, and plus the driving time he got with a person was actually pretty good. I wish they'd spend more time, freeway merging and stuff like that. That was a smaller
that's the important
part
stuff
because that's the important stuff. But it was a pretty good course. But yeah, it was pretty expensive for us. And that was, 8 years ago now.
Well, things have gotten much cheaper in the last several years. So everyone's going to be able to rush to do this.
So, but big changes, first real significant changes we've had for people getting their first licenses in a while.
And if you want to read about those changes, mynorthwest.com/chokepoints. That's our sister website. Chris Sullivan, thanks for stopping by.
Anytime.
You're listening to the Jason Rantz Show. When we come back, we're going to dive into the big local right here on Seattle Red.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have a health reminder from the CDC.
Pneumococcal vaccination is recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
Hey, Jason Rantz here for the law offices of Harold Carr. This is the team you go to if you or a friend of yours, a family member, whomever, gets injured in a car accident. You should not be on the hook to fight for yourself with an insurance company that's not going to treat you well. They know you don't know what you're doing, and they're going to take advantage of that. There's no taking advantage of the Harold Carr law offices. They've got 7 locations all across Western Washington. They've got a huge qualified team, and you get a free consultation over at carlaw.com. C-A-R-R. There are 2 R's in car. They handle insurance companies so you can focus on getting better. They'll focus on getting you way more than you otherwise would have gotten on your own. Do not take on an insurance company alone. Go with the Harold Carr Law offices online at carlaw.com. C-A-R-R. Carlaw.com. Car accident? You call Carr.
Attention Seattle-Tacoma area homeowners. For a limited time, All Red Heating, Cooling, and Electric is offering special incentives, including rebates of up to $5,000 and more on select high-efficiency systems designed to keep your home cool and comfortable on those hot days and warm and snuggy all winter long. But don't wait. These offers are ending soon, and those cool fall days are on the way. Go to trustallred.com today to book your free consultation. That's trustallred.com because
if it's all red, it's all right.
Is it time to get your home sold? Nick Southard with Upgrade Realty here.
Selling hundreds of homes around the Sound for over 25 years has taught me presentation is everything. And with my luxurious marketing, you'll attract tons of buyers, sell fast at top dollar, and net more money. Because Upgrade Realty will save you thousands in fees for only 1% listing commission. To learn more, visit upgraderealty.com. Upgrade your listing for 1%. Upgraderealty.com.
Mark is 76, and his shoulder pain was getting in the way of him playing baseball. You heard that right. Baseball.
Yeah, there's a whole league here of old guys pretending like we're kids.
The pain from severe arthritis just wasn't going away.
It was like a nerve type pain, and I couldn't sleep at night.
That's when Mark decided to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for stem cell therapy.
Well, if I can avoid surgery anytime, you'd probably be better off.
Mark is back out on the diamond playing baseball.
So I moved into this retirement community, and I talked about my shoulder, and these old people here, they got all excited about it, and 2 of them now have gone to see Mark Wagner. They don't like driving into Seattle, so I drive them in.
He more than recommends Dr. Wagner. He chauffeurs. So whether it's a hip like mine or a shoulder, elbow, ankle, wrist, or knee, before choosing surgery, see Dr. Mark Wagner first. He's the most experienced in the Northwest with over 20,000 stem cell procedures. Go to drmarkwagnermd.com.
Snoqualmie, Mercer Island, Des Moines.
This is the Big Local on the Jason Rantz Show.
Shoreline, Woodinville, Burien.
Stories about you, not about Seattle.
Hey, look at the time. It's 4:30 on a weekday afternoon. That means it's time for the Big Local, brought to you by The Scott Jennings Show. Heard weeknights 8 to 10 right here on Seattle Red 770 AM. You should listen tonight, and you'll find out why the White House wants to make him the next potential press secretary. 8 to 10 right here on Seattle Red. This is the part of the show where we completely ignore stories coming out of Seattle and instead focus all of our attention on the communities you live in and care about most. We start in Leavenworth, where wildfire smoke is still causing problems there. You know, the last few days here on, sort of in our neck of the woods, it's been a little smoky, I guess. I haven't really noticed too much, and oddly enough, my asthma hasn't been bothering me like it normally does. But apparently in Chelan County, it's still really, really bad. Or at least it's bad enough that the conditions have improved from the unhealthy levels. It's still costing some money for the folks in Leavenworth because they say, hey, look, we rely on local tourism, and this is normally our busier month of the year, or busier months of the year. And, we've got to worry now about whether or not this is going to have a significant impact on people's willingness to either come here or enjoy the outdoors. And they point out, as Jesse Boyd, the managing owner of Bavarian Lodge, said to Como, look, we usually have higher occupancy, and right now it's way down.
We're usually 100% occupancy this entire month. Right now, we're down about 35% on average. It's kind of been a 1-2 punch, so to speak. I think that we as a community have always been adaptive, and that's what Leavenworth's always been about. So I think that we're always going to continue to watch out for what the future holds.
And look, again, that's a fair point. Some of it is, I guarantee you, has to do with the cost of, gasoline, and I'm guessing the food and the hotel rates are up year over year just because of inflation and other issues. So that probably played a role. I don't know if it's all going to be about the smoke, but smoke undoubtedly played a role. And, none of this should come as a shock. York is the co-owner of Iron and Velvet. He also spoke with Como, who said, look, weather has always played a really big factor for us.
We're a great mountain town, so we have to expect there's going to be a certain amount of weather impact always, and there always has been for decades. It's really nothing new, and the business community here, I think, is great about rallying together and getting town open again very quickly. We would encourage consumers to just check out the webcams. We have live webcams throughout town. You can see exactly what's going on. So don't speculate or read a headline. Check it out.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Because again, if someone were to tell me that we still have a lot of smoke and haze from the fires in Spokane and in Bellevue or in Marysville, you can just look outside and be like, okay, it's not that bad. It's not really bad at all. So let's relax a little bit. Let's dial back the notch so we're not completely getting people scared from going to their summer destinations. That said, I really don't like Leavenworth, so I'm kidding. Well, I mean, I'm not kidding. I don't like Leavenworth, but you should go if that's your jam. If you like beer, if you like scenic drives, depending on where it is you're going, I suppose if you're coming. So poor Jackson from Issaquah, it would make sense to go through Monroe and Sultan and, the Index and take 2 all the way over. That's a nice drive. That's a really nice drive. Not such a great drive from I-90. It's just, it is what it is. So I guess Jackson, who wants to go to Leavenworth this weekend, you should drive south on I-90, get over to 405, then take the 2 all the way. It's going to add 45 minutes to your drive, but totally worth it. Meanwhile, data centers are the new flashpoint for the left and for some on the right, and it's impacting folks here in Washington. We previously told you about how the folks in the town of Quincy are happy. They're glad that they have a data center there, but as other cities and towns and counties are weighing the data center reality, there are a lot of people who say, we don't want this. It could take away our water supply, which, by the way, is vastly overstated as a concern, like vastly overstated. But they're also saying, in some cases, like in Mount Vernon, look, we've got limited farmland. Farms are already struggling as it is in Washington state because of really bad Democratic leadership. Do we really want to put ourselves in a spot where we have to worry about this limited land going to data center development, which was a point that a crop farmer by the name of Darren made to Fox 13.
In this area, generally, we have colored potatoes. Data centers would be the last thing on anybody's mind in my family up until about 2 or 3 years ago. We didn't even know what the word meant, really. Everybody uses AI and uses data in the cloud. I'm a user, and so am I hypocritical by saying, not in my backyard?
Yes.
Like a lot of things in this area in Western Washington, land is limited. They're not making it anymore. In fact, it's disappearing faster than we can keep it.
And that point, I do think is valid. What I don't think is as valid are the folks like Patsy, who's the Patsy Good, a Skagit Valley Planning Commissioner. She's also a fifth-generation farmer. But she says data centers are just going to take up all of our water.
Water is obviously the number one concern, aside from losing arable soil. Now, when you go on your cell phone, AI is what pops up. It used to be Google. They've taken that choice away from us. What if I don't want AI to come up on my phone or my computer?
Too bad. You're too late, too far gone. And by the way, Google is using AI. You're not going away from Google. It's still Google. They're just utilizing AI. And that's by your choice. You don't have to use it.
I don't have a say in that. So, but I do have a say in whether or not they make a data center in my community.
Her complaint and the way she frames it makes it more seem like she's just resistant to newer technology. It's like a Luddite. It's like, I don't want to give up on my VHS and go to this newfangled DVD. I don't want to flip off my Betamax and go to VHS. I'm not giving up my Atari. I don't want to. Leave me alone. I get the general resistance, but this whole idea about water, just to be clear, this is not a real issue. Certainly not compared to almost anything else we use water on. Locally, sometimes there could be a water fight, depending on the very specific circumstances. But data centers directly consumed about 17 billion gallons in 2023. They believe, based on projections, it would be, and let's just use the high-end number of 73 billion by 2028. So that's about 449 million gallons a day against 2 billion gallons a day for golf course irrigation in this country. Golf courses use more water than data centers by far. And even just looking at agriculture, they use more water than the data center. Now, we're willing to say yes to that because it's good for our economy, it's good for food, right? It's good for the sector. But this whole idea of just making these outlandish claims of, we're going to run out of water, it's just over the top. It's not accurate. 1-800-465-8770. When we come back, Jake Skorheim stops by from our sister station. He's going to join me in a conversation about Matt Calkins and the Seattle Times, whether or not they brought this problem on themselves, and an interesting conversation I overheard this morning on the bus They were actually talking about Matt Calkins. They were not making very good arguments. We'll get into it when we come back on the Jason Rantz Show.
Mitch here at Leathers, Washington's most eclectic home furnishings resource. There's a lot of chaos in the world, so take a break from social media and self-serving politicians. At Leathers in Issaquah, our design professionals will guide you to a happy place by elevating your home environment. More than leather, choose from the latest fabrics and solid wood, something for every room in your home. Our guaranteed low prices, quality, and service will lower your blood pressure and be kind to your wallet. So check the chaos at the door and come experience a Zen moment at Leathers in Issaquah.
Jason Rantz here for our friends over at the Sunset Auto family. They're all about loyalty. They want to be loyal to the customer. It's a key piece of how they do business because they don't just want you comfortable when you're there getting your first vehicle from them. They want you coming back. And they know a great way to have you come back is giving you great deals and treating you well. But they go one step above. They go above and beyond, especially when it comes to buying a used vehicle. A lot of you are in the market for a used vehicle. You're still making a big decision, right? There's a lot of money attached to this. And there are dealers that make it harder than it needs to be. Remember, they're here for you, and they want to earn your business for every vehicle in the future. So they give you oil changes for life, warranty protection for life, repairs for life, and now a 48-hour used vehicle exchange policy. You pick out a used vehicle, you take it home, you live with it for a couple days. If for whatever reason you say to yourself, you know what, this is not the right fit for me, Sunset will help get you into something that is. No games, no gimmicks, no nonsense. You all of a sudden don't like the paint. They'll be all like, okay, yeah, we'll switch it out. It's just one more reason Sunset Auto Family keeps beating the competition. So when you're looking for a used vehicle, make sure you check out the Sunset Auto Family in Auburn and Sumner. You just get more at Sunset, and people do like that. SunsetAutoFamily.com.
This is Dr. Marks from Vitality Medical PNW in Linwood. I hear from patients every day about their desire to stay sharp as they age and take control of their health. At Vitality Medical PNW, we don't react to decline. We help prevent it. Be the leader your family depends on. Stay strong, stay independent, stay capable. Schedule a consultation with me and receive free labs. We work with patients all over Western Washington at our Linwood location and through convenient telemedicine. Find out more at vitalitymedicalpnw.com.
Bonneville Seattle and Seattle Red are looking for organizations that regularly distribute information about employment opportunities to job applicants or have job applicants to refer. If your organization would like to receive notifications of job vacancies, please notify Human Resources at 1820 East Lake Avenue East, Seattle, Washington, 98102, or email us at seattlealljobs@bonneville.com or call 206-726-6902. Bonneville is an equal opportunity employer.
When you're finally off the clock after a long day, dishes put away, kids asleep, feet kicked up, heartburn. Don't let heartburn take over your hard-earned moment. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Alka-Seltzer effervescent tablets begin neutralizing stomach acid in seconds, so you can get back to your one more episode marathon. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Because nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Use as directed.
Ice Cube's Big 3 season has come down to this. The Big 3 Championship is coming to Charlotte. Who will be crowned the Big 3 Season 9 champion? Plus the Big 3 All-Star Game. The biggest names in the game, all on one court, one more time. 2 games of the most physical, competitive, and non-stop 3-on-3 action. The game played the way you love. Watch live Saturday on CBS at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, and catch replays Monday on BET.
Yay, yay! Jason Rantz on Fox News.
Rate hikes in Seattle expected to increase electricity bills by 80%. Is this the result of climate policies?
It is in part. They've been pushing, because of their policies, everyone onto EVs and more friendly technologies, which increase the grid's instability. And so they just don't have enough energy that they're producing. So all in all, it leads to these huge hikes.
Jason Rantz, every afternoon, 3 to 7 on Seattle Red.
Welcome back to the Jason Rantz Show. It is a Friday. That means our friend Jake Skorheim stops by from the Jake and Spike Show, the hot hit new show. All the kids are talking about it on the TikToks. Thanks for stopping by.
Can I make an amendment to the introduction you give me?
Of course.
the hot, hip new show that all the kids and their parents. I don't want to just make people think that we're a kid's show.
I think that that's fair. I'll even be more accurate.
Please.
The hot and hip new show all the grandparents are talking about.
Yes.
Is that better?
Thank you very much.
Is that a better explanation for the audience? All the octogenarians,
That's not nice.
they're all like, all I
Shut
do
up.
is listen to the Jake and Spike show. And they were very impressed by a guest that you had on the show yesterday.
Who was that?
This Matt Calkins fella.
Calkins, yeah.
And I, too, was impressed. I was like, how'd they get Matt Calkins? Because we had the exclusive.
You did.
And then somehow
Can I pay
he
some
turns
credit?
up on the show prior to me.
Because you're going to use it against me, I'm going to do a classic debate technique, and I'm going to sneak in there quick and then use it against you by deflating your argument. You gave me his contact info. You were so gracious. Thank you so much for that.
Because I saw it in your eyes when I told you about the story.
Yeah.
And for those of you not following, Matt Calkins is now a former Seattle Times columnist who quit his sports column after, and this was the fourth time one of his pieces, he says, was rejected. This one was rejected, he says, because it was defending girls' sports. And I told you about the story. And I saw the look in your eyes when I said, hey, and I'm talking to Matt today.
And I went, oh.
And then immediately you were like, I'd like to talk to him.
Here's the nice thing that I did, actually. You don't know this is behind the scenes.
Okay.
And this speaks to my character. I wanted to get Matt on the show, and I thought it was possible to do that. But when my producer asked, she said, hey, should we book him today? Or should we try to? And I said, you know what? Jason's got an exclusive with him today. I don't want to step on any toes because Jason's one of my dearest friends in life. So let's try to book him for tomorrow. Give Jason a little space with that. And then you responded to her and you said, hey, I don't mind if you book him. Here's his number. It was just a gentlemanly thing to do.
I'm
very
such
nice.
a good person.
Yeah, it was very nice.
She texted, any chance you can send Matt Calkins' contact? Jake won't book him today per him not to step on your interview, but they'd love to have him on Friday.
Bingo.
My response is, y'all can step on my toes. You're the only show I allow to do that.
Oh, that's nice.
Because I'm such a good person.
I love it.
Now, a good friend would have then responded by simply saying, I appreciate that Jason's willing to do that, but I just cannot
he's being
accept
too
that.
magnanimous.
That's
I
not
can't let
smart
him do that.
for him. He keeps making decisions that benefit us instead of himself. We can't just take advantage of his kindness.
Yeah.
You chose not to do that.
You've been very kind to me. Obviously, in this case, I'm swimming in your wake, and it was great.
What
Everybody-
I overheard as I was walking into the building today. I took the bus today because the dog was. Did we talk about? I got a dog, and I took him.
You got a dog?
His name is D'Artagnan. Took him to daycare. So I saw, I saw the potpourri of very unhealthy, mentally unhinged, drug-addled homeless people on the way in. I got on the bus. I heard.
Were they on the bus?
On my way to the bus.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Once I got on the bus, lo and behold, there were three very stupid people talking about this issue. Incredibly stupid people.
It really is.
But they were talking about this.
Quite a hot button issue.
Yeah, it really is. And I call them stupid because one person argued that, and this part's true, the Seattle Times should have allowed Matt Calkins to publish his piece and then let him live with the fallout. And two of the stupid people in the group said exactly, almost word for word, the exact same point. And then one other of the stupid people said something along the lines of, and this is how you know it's all a scam. You know, if you want to talk about this and trans people while claiming you support women, well, that's fine. You can live with that. But also, why isn't he writing anything about Donald Trump? And I almost
This is
said
a sports
something.
columnist, right?
Exactly. That was going to be my response, was like, but I didn't want to, overstep my bounds talking to these stupid people on the bus. And plus, I don't want to talk to these people.
It's tough in these areas when you're surrounded by people. You're just like,
nonstop.
nobody wants to be talked to on the bus.
Yeah. So I was thinking like, hey, dummy, you do know that he's a sports columnist. Why would he talk about Trump?
Here's what I would bet about these
stupid people.
These people that you encountered.
The stupid people.
The stupid people. I would bet there's a very, very good chance that none of them actually read the original article that got spiked by the Times, which he made available on his Substack, and people
And he
can go
published
check
it
out.
in the New York Post.
And the New York Post published it. Okay, great. So you can read it, and you can see very clearly that he is very thoughtful in his discussions and his ideas, and all he is saying is, we have women's sports, we have people who have gender dysphoria, and why are you saying that because you support women playing in sports that you are then anti somebody who's going through a difficult time? That's all he says in the article, and we shouldn't be throwing out women's sports to make somebody feel good, because in sports, somebody always ends up feeling bad. That's kind of the nature of sports. Somebody wins and somebody loses. And to not even be able to have that conversation was what he was getting at in the article. I bet you none of them read the article.
Yeah,
ironically. And the
Or
Seattle
it wasn't
Times,
written in crayon.
I think that, or it's just not picture-based. I think that the Seattle Times missed an incredible opportunity here. I mean, like from the people that you were hearing.
Stupid people.
Yes. Their take seems to be that he was going to suffer the repercussions by having an actual interesting conversation that the majority of people not only understand, but probably most likely agree with. From everybody that we talked about on the show yesterday.
Polling shows we're on the same side on
Yes,
this.
yes.
Everyone, regardless of political position.
Yes, and it's not, and what's interesting is the Seattle Times, because they don't want
Alternative viewpoints.
They
the
have
far
lost.
left.
They have lost so big on this. It's not Matt Calkins who lost on this. I mean, just look at his Twitter feed. Yesterday he had 5,000 followers. Today he has like 55,000 followers. So he's 11xing overnight. That's not because he's wrong. That's not happening because he's wrong. What he did was have a conversation that people are having that maybe like 5 years ago, honestly, people might have been afraid to have because they were afraid of losing their livelihoods.
5 years ago, 100%.
100%.
Wanted to have that.
They would have been afraid of losing their livelihoods. And that was so you still have people like these people on the bus.
The stupid people.
Who might still be living in like the echoes of a time that I really feel like we've moved past, which was like a dark time where you weren't allowed to talk or even discuss ideas, even ideas that you don't agree with. You weren't even allowed to discuss them because it turned into a witch hunt. And so the Seattle Times, they still live in that era, it seems, if they're not willing to have discussions. And, it is interesting watching all of the reactions to this.
Now, another big issue that was hot on the Twitter sphere had to do, and I don't know if you saw this, the NPR does these tiny desk performances, concerts.
Tiny desk concert.
And they had someone named Audrey on. And she performed a song that people hit for being annoying, both in performance and lyrics and her sort of facial expressions.
Okay.
But also she's ugly, is what they said. She's not that
That's
ugly.
not nice.
She's not pretty. But the reason why I say she's a little ugly at least is because she literally, her songs are about how ugly she is or how she feels she's. I don't think she's all that ugly. She's not great looking.
Okay.
But I want you to listen to this song because
What's her name? Because I'm going to look her up while we're talking.
Her name is Aubrey or Audrey something or other.
I'll just look up Audrey.
Hobart, Hobert. Audrey Hobart or Hobart. And apparently she's also a Nepo baby, although she's not a Nepo baby. I looked up her parents. Like her dad is a producer of The Middle.
Is she local?
She's not local. But this exploded on X. Here's the song first, or at least a clip of the song.
Okay.
Because I do think it is.
I knew you'd be at the party, drinking a Coke and Bacardi. Not that it matters, but I'm breaking patterns and getting so good at Pilates. Broke up with you in November. Sorry, I know you remember. Are you depressed or are you feeling better? Cause you're looking like it's the latter. I've been so careful with you, babe, but I'm out late. And being a saint is exhausting. See me, I wanna be wanted. See me, I wanna be wanted.
And then it just goes on and on and on.
I'm looking at a picture of her
I don't think it's a horrible song.
She's not ugly. It's not a horrible song.
She's not pretty.
Why are people mean about this? I mean, why are people saying it's a horrible song and she's ugly? That's not nice.
Well, that was their response. This thing was literally everywhere for 3 days, and then
play it again. Let me. I was distracted by trying to look up her picture. Give me
because she's such a beauty.
No, well, no. Okay, so here's the thing.
She's awkward looking. She's got a big head.
This is the thing. I'm a happily married man, so I kind of have blinders on this type of stuff. But I can tell you, as a male, I don't find her unattractive. I wouldn't. She's not ugly. I mean, it's mean to say she's ugly.
I am someone who's really in tune with the beauty of females. Like, yes. I feel I am uniquely qualified
because symmetry.
She's average looking. She's got a weird face.
Can I say this? And this is not a criticism of who I'm going to make a comparison to.
Which means it's a criticism.
No, it's not a criticism, actually. It's actually, it's a compliment to...
Well,
it's not like a full compliment.
Yeah.
But it's not a criticism.
Pee Wee Herman.
No. She looks like what I think in Katie Wilson's head, Katie Wilson wishes she looked like. Okay. And I don't mean that I don't mean that in a negative way.
I know,
I just
you don't mean it as a compliment.
I don't mean it as a compliment. It's not negative, but what I mean by that is like Katie Wilson is, I think, uncomfortable in front of cameras.
Yeah.
She's not good in front of a microphone or at the job that she has. But all that aside, I think Katie Wilson sees herself out in public and thinks, oh, I wish I could be more like, what's this girl's name again?
Audrey Hobart.
I wish I could be more like Audrey Hobart. Like if I were her team, I'd say, hey, we need to be a little more Audrey Hobart.
And being a saint is exhausting. Sue me, I wanna be wanted.
Yeah, Katie's like, sue me, I wanna be wanted.
Sue me, I wanna be, sue me, I wanna be, sue me, I wanna be wanted. Sue me, I wanna be wanted. Sue me, I wanna be wanted.
I don't hate the song.
No, it's catchy. It's fine.
It's very catchy. I did end up feeling bad, but like I said, it was 3 days of just relentless attacking. And then it's the last 2 days or 1.5 days has been, it's not that bad and she's not that ugly.
No.
Which is what I decided to put on my Tinder profile. Not that ugly. You could do worse. It's the worst kind of defense.
So,
she's
okay,
weird looking.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Katie Wilson has been struggling with her presentation.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is because everybody that surrounds her, who helps her with these things, like her...
They don't know what they're doing.
Well, no, they all quit. She needs to fill those positions. But I would say that they should take this picture of... Because this is like... She's kind of cool, right? Isn't she considered cool?
No.
She's not? She's doing Tiny Desk concerts. That's kind of cool.
No, she's not cool.
I think Katie Wilson's team would be smart to take this picture and say, hey, you know what? Let's do a little more of this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's present more of a fun vibe.
For people online to call her ugly?
No, but like in front of cameras. Right now, Katie Wilson just looks like shocked.
Mm-hmm.
Every time she's on her camera, she just looks like shocked.
She's just uncomfortable. In fairness, everyone knew that going in, and it's not like she's getting any experience to feel more comfortable.
Wouldn't it be good for her to have like a backroom meeting with her team who make a lot of money so they can't leave the room unless they quit, which they are doing, but like just give speeches so she gets comfortable doing that. Isn't that a good idea just from a PR perspective?
Who's calling that meeting? Madam Mayor, I don't know if you've noticed, but you're incredibly awkward to look at when you speak. You have this discomfort on your face, a combination of you have some sort of stomach discomfort while at the same time you're also constipated. And people are talking about it. And let's do something with your hair.
Let's do a little more Audrey Hobart Tiny Desk and a little less.
I think that's the problem. She's doing too much Audrey Hobart.
Oh, you think she's doing too much?
I think she's doing too
people
much.
are being mean to Audrey Hobart.
Like, do a little more Katy Perry. Do a little less Audrey or Aubrey. What's her name?
You just said Katie because they have the same name.
Yeah, that's the only thing. This is the first name that popped in my head.
That would be so funny. She's just like literally comes dressed to the next press conference in like
with
some
firecrackers.
Crazy Katy Perry, like dressed like cotton candy or whatever that video was.
Oh,
it's an idea.
Yeah,
it's an idea.
There you go. Oh, there you go.
Fun times.
Jake and Spike Show, weekdays noon to 3 on our sister station, Coyote News Radio. Download the podcast. Thanks for stopping by.
Have a great weekend.
You're listening to The Jason Rantz Show.
Homeowners, stop what you're doing right now and listen up, because Puget Sound Energy has new rebates that have never been this high. If insufficient insulation or no insulation at all in your crawl space or attic are impacting your energy bills, now's the time to get your free inspection from Northwest Crawl Space Services, because these PSC rebates could pay for up to 95% of your project, and that could mean thousands of dollars in savings on your job. But make sure you hire a crawl space company that's PSC certified, because not every company can offer these rebates. Don't miss out. Call today, and the team from Northwest Crawl Space Services are happy to give you a free energy savings consultation. Northwest Crawl Space Services will get rid of the critters, re-insulate your home, and hook you up with big-time savings and PSC rebates. Remember, these guys can solve any crawl space or attic problem, no exceptions. See if you qualify for savings from PSC. Go to nwcrawlspace.com.
Rick was
was experiencing some pain in his knee.
Once I retired and really just golfed constantly, I think it kind of exacerbated.
It was getting to be too much for him.
It got to the point where I just almost couldn't sleep. I wanted to try anything to avoid surgeries.
So instead, he decided to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for stem cell therapy.
I talked to him and he said, well, Rick, it's a new knee or we do the stem cell.
Since the procedure, Rick is back doing what he loves to do.
Here I am, golfing and enjoying it.
And now it's not just his knee. Rick has had stem cell treatment for both of his shoulders, his hip, and...
He did my thumbs.
So whether it's a hip like I had or a shoulder, knee, and thumb like Rick, before choosing surgery, see Dr. Mark Wagner first. He's the most experienced in the Northwest with over 20,000 stem cell procedures. Go to drmarkwagnermd.com.
If you are over 62 and have been putting off a reverse mortgage, this may be the right time to take a closer look. Hi, I'm Steve Teitler, owner of Best Mortgage. After nearly 20 years on the air, I'm retiring from radio advertising after September. I'm still helping clients, and if you want to work directly with me, now is the time to call. 425-649-6000. Our reverse mortgage could help eliminate your mortgage payments, pay off debts, and give you more breathing room every month. It's not right for everyone, but for the right person, it can be a very smart financial tool. When you call Best Mortgage for a free consultation, you speak directly with me. I'll explain your options, answer your questions, and tell you honestly whether it makes sense for your situation. If you've been thinking about a reverse mortgage, don't keep putting it off. Call me today at 425-649-6000. Best Mortgage. Honest advice you can trust. 425-649-6000.
We are Seattle Red. Seattle Red on 770 KTTH Seattle, 97.3 KIRO-FM, HD3 Tacoma, Seattle, 94.5 K233 DT Eastway, 33 BU Seattle.
Gearing up for the midterms. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, lending support to Senator Darlene Graham.
With your support and Darlene fighting to go with South Carolina in the Senate, we're going to make sure that she gets there. We will continue to make America safer, stronger, and wealthier than ever before.
Graham was appointed by Governor Henry McMaster to serve the remainder of her brother, the late Senator Lindsey Graham's term. She faces a runoff election on Tuesday.
The critics say I shouldn't run for the Senate. They say I'm not a politician. You know what I say? Guilty as charged.
Darlene Graham faced tough criticism recently for stumbling on a foreign policy question during a debate. Her brother served in the Air Force for 30 years and was considered to be well-versed in national security issues. Meanwhile, Vice President Vance took the administration's midterm message to his hometown in Ohio.
Vice President Vance focused on the economy, sharing his memories of kids in school in Ohio, telling him their parents lost jobs because manufacturing companies went to China or Mexico. He said the Trump administration is turning that around.
We have seen an explosion of rebuilding in the American heartland. We have seen trillions, with a T, trillions of new dollars of investment pour into the United States of America to build new smelters, build new manufacturing facilities, build new mills, build new everything.
He said if Democrats end up with control of Congress after midterms, they will pass the craziest agenda America's ever seen. And he urged Ohio to vote for John Husted for Senate and Vivek Ramaswamy for governor.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. One person dead, two injured after an 18-year-old attacked a school in central Sweden. The suspect is in custody. America's listening to Fox News.
When I hit my 50s, I felt like things were slowing down.
This is Sandra's Metamucil story.
I started taking Metamucil for digestion, but had no idea it would impact so much more. Not only did Metamucil help me feel more regular, but my heart health saw the benefits too.
Metamucil, one simple routine, 4 health benefits. Digestive health starts here. Go to Metamucil.com for more details.
Ice Cube's Big 3 season has come down to this. The Big 3 Championship is coming to Charlotte. Who will be crowned the Big 3 Season 9 champion? Plus the Big 3 All-Star Game. The biggest names in the game, all on one court, one more time. 2 games of the most physical, competitive, and non-stop 3-on-3 action. The game played the way you love. Watch live Saturday on CBS at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, and catch replays Monday on BET.
Yay, yay!
Coach! The yellow light! I'm walking here! I'm walking!
Good afternoon and welcome to the Jason Rantz Show. We are here on Seattle Red 770 AM. We are streaming on the Seattle Red app online at seattlered.com. We got a lot to get to this hour. So-called Perv Park just got pervier in Seattle. We will explain why folks suing over this park say the city is doing even less than it's supposed to do, despite a judge finding on the side of the neighbors complaining. We'll get into that and so much more. But first, a mistake in Tacoma means everyone is complaining about ice again. That's what's trending.
What's trending in Tacoma?
It was undoubtedly a mistake, but anytime ICE makes a mistake, it becomes this massive story that shows you just how evil and incompetent ICE is. And that's not the case. They made a mistake. I say that from the outset. When outside of a Lakewood barber shop, this happened last month, a 23-year-old man was in his car waiting for his shift to begin. The problem was he matched the description, and his car matched the description of someone that ICE was going after. ICE, on the morning of July 17th, according to TNT, was looking for a Mexican citizen who previously had driven away in a gray Volkswagen GTI, despite the fact he had final orders for his removal from the country, and ICE was trying to make that arrest. They ended up approaching a guy named Moises Velasquez, who was sitting in the exact same kind of car, and he matched the description of the individual. They end up making the arrest. They put him in handcuffs. It was all recorded by onlookers because that's what you're supposed to do. And the reporting says the ICE agents discovered that they had the wrong guy as they were dealing with the aftermath of the arrest. In this case, Velasquez is Venezuelan. He's not Mexican. And somewhat ironically, I suppose, he is in this country illegally, but he does have employment authorization and an immigration hearing that had been scheduled for this upcoming December. He says in an interview, I told them I was not violating any laws here in this country, and I was just waiting for my hearing to come. I saw that they didn't care. Now, again, I don't know if that part's true, but I'll grant you that they probably hear from folks being arrested all the time that they're not guilty of anything. And so at that moment, I'm not going to get upset that ICE, gave off the appearance that they did not care that this guy was protesting the arrest when they were making the arrest in good faith. They did, however, of course, discovered, according to the report, that this was not the guy that they needed to or were supposed to arrest. They took him to the ICE Seattle field office and then ultimately detained him in Tacoma at the Northwest ICE Processing Center. TNT, Tacoma's Tribune, says that he was released Wednesday on the order of a judge who found his arrest unlawful and said the facts of the case indicated a quote-unquote egregious level of carelessness by the officers. The judge wrote that Velasquez was approached because of his quote-unquote alleged resemblance to the officer's actual target. Yeah, that's how a lot of this works. A guy matching the physical description and in the exact same kind of car. But the judge says that the officers did not run a license plate to see if it matched the target's vehicle. They instead relied on it being the same make and model of the car, which I think the TNT, in my reading of it, they seem to downplay that it was the exact same car model and make. They just say it's the same kind of car, which I don't know. To me, I would have said it's the exact kind of car, but that's me nitpicking. I have no idea if the reporter on this did that intentionally, and that could be my bias here because I just assume that left-wing media outlets do this all the time. But he obviously was arrested erroneously, and he was then released by a judge after spending some time in custody. I get why he's mad. I get why he's mad. I'm not going to say otherwise. There's an 11-second video of the arrest that's been shared, and there was nothing in the video that was that I could tell, at least, that was somehow obscene or absurd or showing that ICE otherwise acted inappropriately. But they did act inappropriately in this case. Don't know why. ICE has not provided a statement. And the problem, of course, when you get these kinds of stories, it then just feeds the left-wing media agenda to highlight these kinds of cases as if this is the norm, when it's not the norm. Do mistakes happen? Yes, they do. Should they happen? No, they shouldn't. And it's okay for conservatives to point that out. It's equally okay to point out that this is rare. And you get the impression based on the coverage that this happens all the time, because this is the only kind of story that they not just highlight, but then will tell you is not rare. They'll usually, if not directly, they'll just talk to some activists in the story, and they'll forward a bunch of claims that the newspapers will happily amplify, even when they're either unverified or there's no reason to believe that they're even truthful. They'll go ahead and they'll present it anyway. This is what happens. I'm sure King 5 Sharon Yu is probably already on the story if she hadn't already done it, and maybe I missed it. But the reality is, how many of these arrests happen around the country every single day? A couple thousand, maybe, right? I mean, we're told that there's this 2,000, 2,500, whatever the number is, a quota that ICE is supposed to meet to make these arrests for people who are either in this country illegally and have been ordered deported, or should be in custody but aren't because of Democrats' policies that make sanctuary status a priority. So let's just, for the sake of I'll even go lower. I'll go half that. Let's just say there's 1,000 arrests a day. In that case, this means 999 arrests were completely by the book, no issues whatsoever. The media doesn't cover that, ever. They don't even highlight that that's happening. And I understand, by the way, because it's not necessarily news to cover it to cover something that goes the way it's supposed to. But if they were to cover the stories of the people who are getting arrested, why they're getting arrested, don't you think that would change the dynamic of how the public views ICE? Maybe just a little bit? Just a little bit? If you were to learn that the person who was arrested today is someone who is a child rapist, that's what they were arrested for. If you heard that, you would probably have a different take. I mean, I'll say this. Yesterday, ICE Seattle posted a tweet on X saying they arrested an illegal alien named Genakio Vilyavan, a 46-year-old from Laos. And they say his criminal record in the Seattle area is extensive and stretches over a 26-year period. And then they say there are too many arrests to list. But they start with his convictions for assault 6 times, vehicle prowling 2 times, criminal trespass, possessing stolen vehicle 2 times, DUI 2 times, failure to comply with a law enforcement violation of the Uniform Controlled Substances Act, that's just drugs, making false, misleading statements to a public servant, residential burglary, malicious mischief 3 times, harassment. And they say, oh yeah, a municipalities code violation. And so now they're removing him, they're sending him back to Laos. Now, why didn't that story get any kind of coverage? Someone who was arrested convicted 6 times for assault, 2 times for vehicle prowling, 2 times for possession of stolen property, 2 times for DUI, and the laundry list that I just read you. Isn't that newsworthy? How is it that someone who's in this country illegally gets convicted that many times and stays in this country illegally? That, to me, is a story. But the Tacoma News Tribune's not going to cover that. The Seattle Times won't. King 5 won't. No one will. We will. But if we got those kinds of stories, wouldn't that change public opinion? Is anyone truly, and I'm not talking about the hardcore activists, ignoring them for a moment, is the average person, regardless of how they vote politically, regardless of the city that they live, we can talk about someone on Bainbridge Island or someone in Mukilteo. I'm guessing the average person looks at an arrest like this and says, okay, yeah, that makes total sense. We would want to deport that person. Long criminal history. Long criminal history. Well, everyone would generally take that position, and if it doesn't get put on the news and people don't hear about it, well, they're not going to view ICE as making the necessary arrests on people who deserve to be deported. All they will do is get these stories coming from the News Tribune and King 5 that frames everyone who's arrested in a sympathetic light, and sometimes they should be seen in a sympathetic light, but always cast ICE as the bad guys. That's the propaganda campaign. There's no balance. There's no, well, sometimes they do in fact cover these other, none of that. And when we have these high-profile claims, like nationally has been covered, where a criminal illegal immigrant murders someone, they ignore those completely as well. Even when they have a local connection, they have a tendency to not give it the full coverage that it deserves. It's all being done intentionally. Let's find out what else is trending.
What's trending? Let's get political.
Pramila Jayapal has never met a radical, anti-Israel, anti-Semitic activist that she wasn't willing to defend. And now she's getting called out by one of her Democratic colleagues. Pramila Jayapal, squad grandmother, she is defending Hassan Piker in the supposed controversy that the University of Washington pulled his lecture invite. That wasn't really even official. It was more of a casual invitation, but there was no contract signed. She's claiming that this is some sort of free speech emergency, and yet a colleague of hers, Dan Goldman, a Democrat who, by the way, progressive, annoying, I can't stand the guy, but he lost his re-election campaign to a socialist. He's coming out and calling Pramila Jayapal out. So we've been covering this story all week. The university said in a statement, it was determined that the process for organizing the event did not meet the necessary level of rigor for university-hosted events in the speaker series. And again, they said they did not offer him a contract, so nothing was canceled. They just realized that the whole process wasn't properly completed, and they would never want to invite someone like that to the campus as part of an official event by the University of Washington. A student group, if they're willing to pay him to come down here, they can continue to do it that way. But Jayapal got very upset, and I guess her principle is real. It's just a principle that never seems to be available when the speech in question is aimed at Jews, because it's routinely elevating anti-Semitic positions, including her own, that's really important to her. So Dan Goldman said initially on X, as a member of the Judiciary Committee, I too believe in the First Amendment's guarantee of free speech, because Jayapal is pretending this is a free speech issue. It's not. But a university has obligations under Title IX to ensure that its own sanctioned events do not create a hostile environment for any student, including Jewish students. Given his repeated and overtly anti-Semitic and anti-American statements, no federally funded university should sanction a platform for Piker to speak. Now, of course, Jayapal disagrees with that. She wants these people to speak. That is her goal. She will never tweet in support of some college Republican group that gets targeted by, say, the University of Washington, which has happened multiple times. She will only speak on behalf of radicals. She said, completely disagree with this analysis of free speech. She's wrong. She has no idea what she's talking about. She's also going up against a lawyer in this. Dan Goldman, I don't like the guy. He's a lawyer. He knows what he's talking about on this one. She says, UW has had speakers from a wide range of views, including those whom I completely disagree with. She doesn't point them out, by the way. The First Amendment protection of freedom of speech should never be negotiable, and that is something I know the majority of my constituents value as well. I've respected UW's commitment to free speech in the past and expect that to continue. Now, Goldman could have just ignored that, because it's one of those stupid bumper sticker talking point kinds of tweets that don't actually mean anything, and it's all performative in nature anyway. But he didn't. He decided to respond, saying, did any of those previous speakers foment harassment, discrimination, or potentially violence against a class of students? UW students have plenty of access to Piker's racist and anti-American views. And again, he's 100% correct. The reason why this is not a First Amendment issue is, number one, and perhaps you can argue this is the technical reason, is that there was no contract that was even extended. But even pushing that aside, let's say a contract was extended and they realized the mistake. You do not have a right to be invited at all to a college campus by the administration to speak. You do not have a right to cash my tax dollars, because remember, this is a public school, meaning my tax dollars, your tax dollars go to pay for all of this stuff. If it's sanctioned by the school, if it's created by the school, not by a student group, that's a little bit different. But they don't have a right to that. I don't have a right to be paid to give a lecture from the University of Washington. That right does not exist. And if I was invited and then disinvited, I would not have an action on free speech grounds. Unless there was some other entity that forced the University of Washington, a government entity, that forced UW to cancel. But UW itself has no obligation here. What they can't do is say a student group, and they've got plenty of anti-American, anti-Semitic student groups on campus, decided to go through the rules, follow every single rule, go through the process, and then hire him to speak. The university couldn't just come in and cancel that. That would be a free speech issue. But that's not what happened here, which is why Dan Goldman is calling out Pramila Jayapal. He didn't have to call anyone out, but he obviously is upset. He's Jewish. He should be upset with the rise of Hassan Piker and how the Democrats are allowing him into their big tent. But again, pushing all of this aside again, let's say you agreed with Pramila Jayapal's basic free speech argument. I think it's a non-existent one, but let's just go with it for a second. A week before she declared, I guess, the First Amendment is non-negotiable. Do you remember what she did? She was demanding that Republicans denounce Nancy Mace because of her tweet on August 7th saying that Muslim politicians are Trojan horses. She called it, this is Pramila Jayapal, the following day after that tweet. This is absolutely disgusting and dangerous. Republicans must denounce this blatant Islamophobia. Now, she'll always call out what she perceives to be Islamophobia. She doesn't call out anti-Semitism unless she thinks she can benefit from it politically. But she's calling on people to denounce dangerous and disgusting rhetoric. And then a week later, she's coming to the support of Hassan Piker's disgusting and dangerous language while defending his right to provide. She's not saying this is disgusting, but we still have to allow it. And I've called out Nancy Mace's post. I thought it was ugly and I thought it was stupid. But the problem is that Jayapal doesn't extend the courtesy in reverse. When the rhetoric, in her view, targets Muslims, speech becomes dangerous. It requires collective condemnation. But when it targets Jews, speech becomes a constitutional right that can never be negotiated. Same congresswoman speaking within a week of events, but holding the opposite standard. And the only variable that changed was who was on the receiving end of the dangerous and disgusting rhetoric. And in this case, Jews, so she doesn't mind. I mean, she also, and people pointed this out on X, that she falsely claimed that hate speech is not free speech. That was her position before. But again, she does not view Hassan Piker as engaging in hate speech because she hates Jews just like he does, in my view. 1-800-465-8770 for your text. Let's quickly find out what else is trending.
What's trending in Trumplandia?
We're now, I think, on day 5 of the fallout from John Ossoff, the senator from Georgia who's running for president. He made the comment about Natalie Harp, a close aide to the president who happens to be an attractive female. So what he decided to do was imply that Natalie Harp and Donald Trump are having an affair, that he's sleeping with her. And the response from primarily the right, although not exclusively, I know David Axelrod also called this out, but mostly folks on the right have said this is pretty disgusting. And we've heard some really random and bad faith responses to the criticism. Some of that is that Donald Trump says awful things and demeaning things all the time, and you don't attack him. Sorry, but first of all, that's not true. I mean, he gets plenty of criticism. But no one is arguing that the language is against Trump that's off limits. The criticism has been, you're attacking Natalie Harp. No one knows who she is. She is a random aide. There is no like whispers of some sort of sexual impropriety between the two. John Ossoff decided to name someone specifically and insult the president through her. He wasn't insulting the president. He was insulting Natalie Harp to get to the president. That's the difference. You can go ahead and complain, and I'll join you in some cases if Donald Trump is going after someone completely at random. But he generally, none that I can remember, going up against some random bureaucrat that he names. Has he said mean things about Rosie O'Donnell? Yeah, he has. Rosie O'Donnell is a public figure. You might hate what he says about her, and it is in fact mean. But that's not the same as going after an aide no one has heard of, basically implying that there's some sort of sexual relationship. Now, there's a former congressman, Patrick Murphy, who was on Fox News. Hugh Hewitt was on as well. And Murphy pretended to not understand what John Ossoff was saying and pretends that this has nothing to do with making sexual jokes, blah, 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 blah. He's pulling the whole, well, what about Donald Trump? And Hugh Hewitt was not having it.
Listen, I think John Ossoff is his own man, and I think that there's a lot of folks in the White House that have their panties in a bunch because the truth hurts. And that's what John Ossoff said. The truth hurts.
And I love this, by the way. The truth. What's the truth? What's the truth? Now, Trace Gallagher is going to get into this, giving a question. He's going to quote a mayor. We'll play that in a second. But Patrick Murphy is saying the truth hurts. So he's saying that the truth is that they are, in fact, having a sexual relationship. But then when he's put on the spot by Hugh Hewitt, he's not going to say that.
And I think there's a lot of folks that are relooking what's really going on right now and not happy about it. I'll say that.
Yeah, the Atlanta mayor, Andre Dickens, calls the DNC for abandoning black voters, saying they are afraid to leave their comfort zone and blind to the fact that the South is the answer. They are abandoning Atlanta, abandoning the South, and once again abandoning black voters. Kind of a quick take from all of you. Hugh Hewitt, your thoughts on that?
Well, the Atlanta mayor is true, but what Patrick just said, and I got to correct him, is not. Natalie Harp is absolutely above board. John Ossoff, what he said was repulsive. He's been repudiated by David Axelrod and other serious Democrats. He should apologize for what is true about Atlanta.
President Trump left the Secretary of State and his Secretary of Treasury
Natalie Harp
back in Trump.
has not had any relationship with the president. It's disgusting.
He didn't say that. He just said he wanted to play with her.
Come on, man. That is disgusting.
Listen, I know you're clutching your pearls, but I mean, it's a little rich after the last 10 years.
Do you think it's true? No, you don't. You know it's a lie by Ossoff. You know it's a lie by Ossoff.
Did the president take a plane with her?
Has said that.
Did the president take a plane with her and left the Secretary of State and Secretary of Treasury
She
back?
is a close aide.
Yes or no?
And if you are going to deal in misogynistic lies, shame on you and the Democratic Party.
God bless you, buddy.
Yeah, God bless you, buddy. Yeah, Patrick Murphy is the one who comes off as a jerk there. He really does. 1-800-465-8770 for your texts. When we come back, Lee Keller is the spokesperson for a group trying to clean up Perv Park in Seattle, but she says it's actually getting way worse, even after a judge ruled on their side. We'll get into it when we come back on the Jason Rantz Show. Don't forget, buying a used car can be so stressful, but the Sunset Auto family, they take the stress off your plate with a 48-hour used vehicle exchange policy where you pick out a vehicle, drive it for a couple days, and if it's not the right fit, they'll help you find one that is without any gimmicks or loopholes, because you just get more at Sunset, and people do like that. SunsetAutoFamily.com.
Sleep Number's new collections are designed to adapt to the changing nature of your life and your sleep needs. Whether it's the personalized comfort of the Comfort Mode mattress, the targeted pressure relief of the Comfort Next mattress, or the Climate Collection that actively cools or warms to help you fall asleep and stay asleep.
And now, all beds are on sale during our biggest sale of the year. Save 25% on the new Comfort Next Luxe, plus free delivery on any mattress. Ends Monday, only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Here's the deal. The government is over $38 trillion in debt, which means the IRS isn't slowing down. And the tax code is complex and unforgiving. So it's not surprising if you're one of the millions of Americans that owe back taxes to the IRS. Unfortunately, they're the world's most powerful collection agency, with the ability to garnish your wages, seize your bank accounts, and even take your home or business. But don't be stressed or worried any longer. We're Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. We have resolved over $3 billion in tax debt for our clients. Our award-winning professionals deal with the IRS every single day, protecting our clients and preparing them for the best possible resolution. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, give Optima a call today.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Tim had always been active, but severe osteoarthritis in his knee eventually took that away.
I was walking 3 or 4 times a week, 2.5 miles. I lost the ability to do that walking.
He went looking for answers.
And they said, we can either operate on the meniscus. The only other option we've got is knee replacement.
But Tim wasn't ready to do that.
Replacement takes 6 to 10 months recovery time. Wasn't interested in doing that.
So instead, Tim chose stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine, the most experienced in the Northwest, with over 20,000 stem cell procedures.
I heard the doctor on the radio, and he said, well, I think I can fix it. And I said, okay, let's go for it.
And today?
1 to 10, the pain level is around a 1 right now.
So whether it's a hip like I had, or a shoulder, elbow, ankle, wrist, or knee, before choosing surgery, see Dr. Mark Wagner first. Go to drmarkwagnermd.com. That's drmarkwagnermd.com.
Hey, it's Jason Rantz. Summer's here and everyone's on the road enjoying the outdoors. Chelan, Leavenworth, Westport. Doesn't matter where you're headed, you're getting there on roads that are a construction nightmare right now. Lane closures, sudden stops on the freeway, detours that dump you into traffic you didn't expect. 1 second you're cruising, the next you're slamming the brakes because some dude ahead of you didn't see the cones in time. Add in summer barbecues, a few too many drinks, people out late, and you've got a recipe for accidents. So look, get a designated driver, give yourself extra space on the freeway, pay attention through the work zones. But if it still happens, if someone hits you, you call the Herald Car Law offices. 7 locations across Western Washington, a huge qualified legal team, and a free consultation at carlaw.com. Car is spelled with 2 R's, C-A-R-R. carlaw.com. They handle the insurance companies so you don't have to. And they'll likely get you way more than you otherwise would have gotten on your own. Do not take on an insurance company alone. Go with the Car Law offices. carlaw.com. C-A-R-R. Car accident? Call CAR.
The Jason Rantz Show.
All right, let's break it down with Seattle radio host and author Jason Rantz.
Jason, if I didn't know you, my first question would be, do you make these stories up? No, they accepted this proposal.
I guess it's a measure of how much they really don't like Trump, isn't it?
Long form.
Seattle Parks told its own employees not to confront people committing lewd acts at Denny Blaine Park, not to collect video evidence, to basically stay in their vehicles. And that's coming from King County Superior Court Judge Samuel Chung's ruling on July 15th, which included a permanent injunction ordering the city staff to actually enforce a code of conduct. And yet, here we are, several weeks later, the city apparently has done none of it. Neighbors who called police a weekend or so ago were told that they were the agitators. That, at least according to Denny Blaine Park for All, a group that's been fighting on behalf of neighbors just to bring some semblance of normalcy and law-abiding to the actual park. Lee Keller is the spokesperson, and she joins me now. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it.
So walk me through what's happened the past few weeks.
Well, listen, sadly, a lot of the same activity is happening down there. But yes, we did appreciate the fact, and we saw it as a victory, that the judge ruled and told the city they needed to do something. They needed to basically clear up the problem. The city needs to enforce the law. The city is not doing that. And listen, you know, we all know this. Masturbation is not legal. Public sex is not legal. Indecent exposure is not legal. All of that in public, and yet it continues today. So it's a big problem.
How worse is it now than it was, or than, during this whole lawsuit? Obviously, it got to a point where it was untenable, but has there been any improvements at all?
No, and in fact, it is our opinion, and we have that backed up by photos and video, that it's worse since the court ruled. There's more masturbation, more public sex. There are gatherings of people. The fence has been torn down, at least in part. People are trespassing on private property, destroying property. It's essentially gotten a lot worse. And listen, right now we really feel like this has become, it has been, but it's become a worse public safety issue.
Yeah.
The city's not doing anything, and it's a full-blown public safety issue. And we all know that the city's having problems in the arena of public safety right now. And unfortunately, Denny Blaine Park is falling right in that same trap.
The judge had ordered 5 action items, I guess, from the city to take up: staffing the park, or at least addressing the staffing situation of having them actually do something, a code of conduct that would then be enforced, some basic landscaping, buffers, signage. What has the city actually built or hired or posted since the judge gave up his injunction?
Nothing.
They've done nothing, literally nothing publicly that you can tell, at least.
They have done nothing publicly that we can tell. And in fact, it's gotten worse because that fence that they put up some time back, which is really just this ugly chain link fence with green material, we see that as a nice private space for people to masturbate. So essentially that fence has gone up and it has blocked the water, and it's allowed people to go on the other side of the fence, opposite from where the homes are, and do their deal, do their business. And they've got a nice lake view. They've got a privacy of the fence, and there you go.
Well, and the folks, not just at the city level, but the other group that's opposing you, Friends of Denny Blaine, I guess, they're out there claiming that actually none of that is happening. This is just trans people and gay people who are sunbathing nude, and the rich neighbors, the privileged neighbors, just don't want to see that. And from the beginning, your group, I don't think, has ever said you were against the nude sunbathing. You were talking about all the other conduct that is very clearly illegal.
Oh, hey, absolutely, 100%. We don't care what group's down there. We don't care what people are down there. We just want people to obey the law. That's it. And that's literally all we've been asking for from the beginning.
Why do you think they've not acted then?
That's a great question. I think the city's lacking some backbone. I think they're scared of offending groups. I think Seattle is, there's a lot of Seattle nice, right? It's like, we better not offend anybody. Well, how about just enforcing the law? That's really all we're asking for.
Yeah, I don't think this is simple. Seattle nice, right? I mean, isn't this more political, that this has been framed as some sort of, LGBT issue when it literally has nothing to do with that?
Yeah, it's 100% nothing to do with that. It is absolutely about getting things cleaned up so that people are not masturbating and having sex in public. It's so basic. I mean, you can't look the other way. Who would want to see that? Who wants to see that? We call him the red truck guy. There's a guy that comes down there in his red truck and just does this over and over again. In the park, on the hood of his truck, all over the place. And it's crazy. Actually, it's crazy because people from other parts of the country don't even believe it. They're like, are you kidding? Is this really happening? Yep. And I would actually welcome anybody to come down to the park, especially on these beautiful sunny days, and check it out.
Well, maybe not kids. Leave the kids at home. Don't bring the kids to the park.
Leave the kids Exactly. Leave the kids at home, but you can't make this stuff up. You can't. And you can't look the other way. That's the sad part.
Exactly. Lee Keller joining us on the line, spokesperson for Denny Blaine Park for All. They're simply asking for what we call on Fox News Perv Park. We'd like it to not be known as Perv Park anymore. It's a pretty simple prospect. A neighbor called 911 to report a sex act in the park, and you guys say she was called the agitator?
Yeah. She said, you guys are the agitators.
Who said that?
Excuse me? I have to double check with her, but I believe it was a member of the police department. It was either a police officer or one of the park rangers. So
wow.
One of the two. one of the two, they were officially down there, supposed to be doing their job, and were told, you guys are agitators here. So
then how do you guys respond to that? Like, what are you supposed to do if you're being told that by officials?
Well, here's what we did. They filed a lawsuit. I mean, honestly, they were trying to work this. This has been going on for a very long time. Before Bruce Harrell. I mean, Bruce Harrell was mayor when I got on board to try and help. And this is not new. This has been going on for a long time. So the sad part is it hasn't changed. And if anything, like I said a few minutes ago, it's definitely gotten worse.
So then where does this go from here? If the city keeps ignoring the injunction, what is the next move in court? And what does the park look like a year from now if nothing changes, no one complies with the ruling?
Well, I mean, we're weighing our options, but there's definitely an appeal process that has started on our side, and that we'll just see how that goes. I mean, the neighbors are super frustrated, and they definitely have the appetite to continue fighting this, and will. And these are homes that they have for their families. This is where they call home. They don't want to look the other way anymore, and they want it fixed. So we're going to continue, working with the courts because there really isn't anything left to do. Can't work with the city directly. Clearly, that hasn't worked.
Yeah, the city says it's not interested.
That situation's gotten worse. Yeah.
They're not interested. And if they're not going to comply with a judge's orders, this is total lawlessness. I can't say that I'm shocked by it. I'm sure they will have their excuses, and they're welcome to come on the show to express their positions. We've been talking with Lee Keller. Yeah. She is the spokesperson for Denny Blaine Park for All. Lee, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, Jason. I'll give you updates as they happen, as our appeal works through the court system.
We are looking forward to it, although I put a little bit of an asterisk on there. I'd prefer no more of the videos and photos. But alas, people have to know what's going on. You're listening to The Jason Rantz Show. When we come back, we're going to dive into the big local right here on Seattle Red 770 AM, online at seattlered.com.
Homeowners, stop what you're doing right now and listen up, because Puget Sound Energy has new rebates that have never been this high. If insufficient insulation or no insulation at all in your crawl space or attic are impacting your energy bills, now's the time to get your free inspection from Northwest Crawl Space Services, because these PSC rebates could pay for up to 95% of your project, and that could mean thousands of dollars in savings on your job. But make sure you hire a crawl space company that's PSC certified, because not every company can offer these rebates. Don't miss out. Call today, and the team from Northwest Crawl Space Services are happy to give you a free energy savings consultation. Northwest Crawl Space Services will get rid of the critters, re-insulate your home, and hook you up with big-time savings and PSC rebates. Remember, these guys can solve any crawl space or attic problem, no exceptions. See if you qualify for savings from PSC. Go to nwcrawlspace.com.
Hey, Jason Rantz here. Let me tell you what no one warns you about when it comes to owning a home across the Puget Sound. The air conditioner always dies on the hottest day of the year. And then comes the surprise bill, the one that ruined your month. CM Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical decided to fix that. A brand new high-efficiency AC system, any size up to 5 tons, installed for as low as $179.99 a month, $0 up front. They call it Comfort as a Service, and it flips the entire game. Here's the part that matters. It comes with their lifetime warranty. Lifetime repairs, parts and labor covered, annual maintenance, tune-ups, even filters. No additional charge ever. A smart Wi-Fi thermostat included. Plus tax incentives that knock down your utility bills. No big upfront cost, no surprise repair bills, no guessing. Go to cmheating.com and schedule your free estimate today. This is a no-brainer. cmheating.com. That's cmheating.com.
License number CMHEAHL 751LW.
For 250 years, Americans have believed in one powerful idea, that we are meant to live free. Free to work hard, free to move, free to enjoy life without being held back. But if the natural effects of aging are slowing you down, it might be time to declare your independence from aging. John Curley here. Longevity Medical Clinic has been treating the undesirable effects of aging for nearly 30 years. They have more clinical experience with actual patient care than any longevity practice in the country. I've been a patient for 17 years. Wow, time flies when you got a lot of energy. I don't know where I'd be today without longevity. Longevity Medical Clinic was started so people can get back to living life on their own terms, walking, working, exercising, and enjoying the moments that matter most. This year, as we celebrate 250 years of American independence, take a stand for your own freedom. Get your free health analysis at Longevity Medical Clinic. Find out more at lmclinic.com.
For nearly 20 years, I've talked with local homeowners on the radio about mortgages and making smart financial decisions. Hi, I'm Steve Tytler, owner of Best Mortgage, and after September, I'm retiring from radio advertising. So if you're over 62 and you've been thinking about a reverse mortgage, now's a good time to call to work directly with me. 425-649-6000. A reverse mortgage may help eliminate your mortgage payment, pay off debts, and create more room in your monthly budget. It's not right for everyone, and that's why honest advice really matters. When you call Best Mortgage for a free consultation, I will personally explain how it works, review your options, and tell you plainly whether it makes sense for you. No pressure, just straight answers from someone who's been helping Northwest families for decades. Fall is coming, and if a reverse mortgage has been on your mind, let's talk soon. 425-649-6000. Best Mortgage. Honest advice you can trust. 425-649-6000.
The Jason Rantz Show.
Bring in Jason Rantz, Seattle Red 770 AM host, and also SeattleRed.com. Jason, great to have you with us.
Jason, Seattle is just continually ground zero.
Yeah, and this is really the Pacific Northwest is ground zero for all this nonsense.
USA Today is mocking the far left.
The quick hit.
There are a few stories that have been kind of getting the national attention in ways that I thought were kind of interesting, in that it shows you either a willingness or unwillingness, I guess, to not understand how Trump works, or just, I don't know, bad faith analysis. And I shouldn't even say just national interest. I did earlier today, I was on CNN International, and they were asking about this interview that Donald Trump did with Michael Cohen. And then I started to think about it a little bit more because, you know, I don't want to just stay in my own sort of bias echo chamber of just assuming people don't understand or maybe don't want to understand. But I can see why the average person might be scratching their head, including Republicans, saying, why in the world would Donald Trump do an interview with Michael Cohen, who I guess is now doing a WABC radio show that's based in New York? Who in the world, first of all, would even listen to the Michael Cohen show? But I suppose there would be lots of people who would listen to Donald Trump talk to Michael Cohen, given the fact that Michael Cohen, the personal sort of the hatchet man, turned on the president and, you know, tried to aid in the efforts to throw Donald Trump in jail. Obviously, that didn't work. It was Michael Cohen who ended up serving, I think, was 3 years in jail. And for the president to now suddenly do an interview, it is weird. And so I was willing, even though in my head I was harshly criticizing the people who were covering the story or talking about the story, I take it all back. I think actually there's some valid questions about this. And it does make sense for anyone who knows President Trump, follows President Trump and his personality, or even just puts together some basic strategic thinking. You can understand this. But before we get into that, let's actually listen to what it sounded like. It was a two-part interview. I have not heard, I think the second part is tonight. I have heard a good chunk of the first part. It's a long interview, but they kind of they were being reminiscent of the, you know, sort of the good old days before their falling out, before the fact that Michael Cohen turned on the president.
I want to go back to 2016 if we can, because you and I have obviously traveled a pretty rocky road together. You remember? Do you remember
his? I cannot stand his accent. Oh my God!
Remember, sir, when I went on CNN with Breonna Keeler and she told me that you were underwater in the polls, and I responded with those famous two words, "says who," which became some worldwide meme.
And good advocate, and then they weaponized you like nobody's ever been weaponized, like few have been.
Well, maybe just you and I, sir.
And you. Yeah, me too, but I don't consider mine, you know, mine was at a level that nobody's ever seen before. But they weaponized you, they weaponized a lot of people. And I respect the fact that you recanted everything you said. And that's a big thing that you did.
Now, to be clear, he didn't, quote unquote, recant everything that he said, at least not in the way that I think most people would take that comment. Michael Cohen has, and this is significant, and I think this might even come with some legal implications, not entirely sure yet, but Michael Cohen basically said that the prosecuting attorney's office in Manhattan essentially abused the office, that they coerced him and manipulated him into going after Donald Trump. That's the claim from Michael Cohen. Now, to be clear, I don't actually believe that they had to manipulate him all that much. Coerced, even, I wouldn't go that far, because I think Michael Cohen is the kind of guy who will say and do anything to protect himself when he's on the line. And that includes throwing the president under the bus. So I don't know if you have to manipulate someone who I suspect is willing to basically say or do anything for self-preservation. That said, him coming forward and making these allegations and again, not recanting he didn't come out and say, I lied. He was talking about the process. I do think that matters, which is why it's got some people's attention. If you are thinking to yourself at this point, hey, I think we just got a little bit of a look as to why Donald Trump is now talking to Michael Cohen, bingo, that's it. Cohen wants something and Donald Trump wants something. Donald Trump doesn't need it. And frankly, I don't even know what Michael Cohen gets out of this, except he's asking for a pardon. He tried to get a pardon under the Biden administration. That was rejected. He essentially said that he put forward the exact same application now to the Trump administration. The administration has not, I don't even think, acknowledged receipt of the pardon application. I don't anticipate they're going to make a big deal about this, and I don't know what they're going to do with it. That comes with some practical purposes as it relates to if Michael Cohen were to move out of New York and into a state that doesn't allow him to vote with that conviction. In New York, he can still vote. Okay, because he's already served his time in jail. He's not going to be able to get that back. He might be able to own a firearm again. In theory, even though he's been disbarred as a lawyer, this could make it a little bit easier to become a lawyer again, I guess. Right? So that's it. There's just some restorative, possibilities, I guess, to some of his rights if he had the pardon placed on him. But he's not going to get his time back. Okay, so, and maybe this is just about, quote unquote, clearing his name to a degree, although it doesn't wipe out the charges or anything. The president has more to gain from Cohen coming out and now he has no leverage, basically, quote unquote, recanting everything. And that the president believes, and I think he's right, that there was significant lawfare. The intent was to go after him by any means necessary because they wanted to keep him out of the White House. They wanted to throw him in jail. So they were going to say or do anything. And that's from everything, including Alvin Bragg, to, the Georgia Fani Willis case or prosecution. I think you can very easily make that argument. And now he's able to point to someone who says, yes, I was manipulated into saying what I said or doing what I did. That strengthens the Trump argument. Does this change anything? Ultimately, probably not. I don't see anyone who hated Donald Trump before saying, well, now he's got a good point. Or I thought he was guilty before, but now I don't. I don't think those people exist. I think you either support him and his belief or you don't on the lawfare part. It doesn't matter. So I don't anticipate this changing anything, but it makes his argument, the president's argument, objectively better to be able to point to someone who is now saying on the record, I was coerced into this. Whether or not you believe Michael Cohen is another thing. But I do think having that person to point to, because otherwise someone will say, the president keeps saying this and you have no proof. Well, okay, I don't necessarily have proof, but now you've got someone on the record who's saying it. And so now you're putting the onus on them to just dismiss Michael Cohen. And I dismiss Michael Cohen in a general sense. I wouldn't trust Michael Cohen for anything. Guy to me seems like a total scumbag. And I certainly would believe the comeback. And this is why I don't want to really argue this point with liberals too forcefully, because a liberal can honestly come back and say Michael Cohen is now lying about being coerced because he wants a pardon. I think that's a fair comeback. And again, I don't like Michael Cohen. I really don't. And so I hope he doesn't get a pardon. And when the pardon, or if the pardon is rejected, let's see if Michael Cohen changes his tune again. But the interview obviously got into more stuff. They love going after liberal media.
You may remember that following morning you called me into the office after, and then you gave me one of those traditional Trump slaps on the shoulder, and you said to me, F them. You're stronger than them. We've got this. Now, the funny thing is that CNN never apologized. They never retracted anything. And now, years later, CNN, MS Now, and the other left-leaning outlets, they're doing the exact same thing, constantly talking about you being underwater with favorability numbers. Mr. President, what do you say to these people who keep bringing up polls when you're not even running for office again? What's the point?
I'm not, and I think that we're doing really well in the polls, the real polls. If I were running today, I think I'd win by 25 points. I think we'd win by a lot. The economy has never been stronger. We're doing numbers that nobody's ever seen before.
The questions about polling, I do think, are legitimate. He's obviously right that the president isn't running for anything, but this is going to be seen as a referendum on the president, and that's how we judge midterms in fairness. I do think that the polling, conversation still is not all that interesting to me because it's not September yet. Again, let's get after Labor Day is when people start paying attention to the midterms. And that's when the polling to me will start making more of an impact on how I feel, at least on the Senate side. I've said this multiple times. Some people are upset with me saying this. The House is going to go to the Democrats. The only storyline that's actually a story is if the Democrats win by a huge number. It's a margins game. If they're up, and I'm making these numbers up, if they're up 20 seats, okay, that's a big deal. That's a shellacking. If they're up 7, yeah, that's not a shellacking, and Republicans probably are hoping for that kind of loss if they have to lose. And they're going to lose in the House. Every bit of history tells us that. There's no reason to believe that this year is going to be an anomaly year. I hope it's an anomaly year, to be clear. I don't want the House to go to the Democrats. That would be catastrophic, regardless of what the numbers are. I want us to keep it. The bigger, races are in the Senate. We cannot lose in the Senate. If we lose in the Senate and the House, that's horrible news for the president. He's going to be impeached again. And God forbid we have to make a change of a conservative justice on the Supreme Court. We're going to lose that. So we have to fight this hard politically and win these battles. The Democrats have shot themselves in the foot by putting up so many of these crazies. So I don't, know why they still seem to think that embracing the crazy socialists is good for their Senate races. But hey, they backed themselves into a corner and now they're dealing with it. And by the way, speaking of CNN, Michael Cohen was on with Jake Tapper.
How do you answer the criticism that people see you as an opportunist?
I don't. I don't care what he has to say. I speak, and I continue to speak truth. I believe, as I have always believed, that I am more centrist than I am anything. There's nothing in my political positions, in my policies and my beliefs that have changed. I still believe, for example, that what Trump is doing in Iran is the right thing. I believe that Israel has a right to defend itself and to be a sovereign nation. I also simultaneously believe that a two-state solution is necessary. These are the same positions that I have had my entire life, and I will not change it.
And by the way, no, who cares what his positions are on anything? Seriously.
I will continue to espouse it, whether the microphone is here at WABC, on my Substack, or on any of my other platforms. So I don't know who the gentleman was that was talking about me. It doesn't mean anything
Former
to
prosecutor.
me. They have every right to say whatever it is. Just because you have an opinion does not make it factually correct.
But do you still think President Trump is a racist and a con man and a cheat and a mob-style boss?
Right. But what you're doing is you're trying to go back in time, and I refuse to do that. I will not do that.
Well, with respect, I will defend Jake Tapper on that question. That is totally legitimate task. That is very fair. And again, maybe because I really, really, really don't like Michael Cohen, that is 100% a fair question to ask, and it's a bad answer to say, I'm not going to go back to my past. It's all about the future. Yeah, okay, Michael. 1-800-465-8770 for your text. You're listening to The Jason Rantz Show.
Dana Lash on Seattle Red.
The Democrat Party used these far-left ideologues as a get-out-the-vote mechanism. In order to seem sincere, they had to adopt a lot of that platform.
Weekdays 9 to noon on Seattle Red and the Seattle Red app.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance. And now we're customizing this rush hour ad to keep you calm, which could help your driving. And science says therapy is great for a healthy mindset. So enjoy this 14-second session on us. I think you've done everything right and absolutely nothing wrong. In fact, anything that hasn't gone your way could probably be blamed on your father not being emotionally available because his father wasn't emotionally available, and so on. And now that you're calm and healing, you're probably driving better too.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
When you see this in your kitchen,
The stainless steel fridge is covered in fingerprints.
you hear this.
Leslie, people are going to think you were raised in a barn or by wolves, or raised in a barn by wolves.
Fortunately, Wyman Stainless Steel 3-in-1 cleans, shines, and protects to give you the best shine. A spray and a wipe will have your fridge shining like a mirror.
Wow, my fridge looks brand new. Your fridge looks amazing, Leslie. Sorry, I was being a little dramatic earlier.
Your kitchen says a lot about you. Let it brag with Wyman.
Hello, sweltering Seattle. John Curley here. Is your home staying cool? Are you losing sleep because it's just too hot? At Home Comfort Alliance, the goal is not to sell you a new system. It's to fix the one that you have. Repair first, replace only if it truly makes sense, saving you time and money. If your system's done, a heat pump gives you both cooling and heating for year-round comfort. Get real pricing in 60 seconds at HomeComfortAlliance.com. Call the comfort people. Home Comfort Alliance.
Hey, Jason Rantz here with Phil Mitchell. He's the owner of Sunset Auto Family. Phil, talk to me about Repairs for Life. How exactly does that work?
Basically, we cover any mechanical repair over $250. So if you need a water pump, we got you covered. If the motor goes bad, we got you covered. Transmission, all different things. I mean, if it's over $250 and we fix it for you, it's covered for life.
And the reality is people are keeping their cars for years longer than they used to. So something's going to go wrong. It doesn't make any sense to take it anywhere other than the Sunset Auto Family.
I mean, that's what I think. I mean, it's up to you guys, but I think if I'm going to get a repair paid for over and over again, if it breaks, that's where I'd go.
What if they didn't purchase from the Sunset Auto Family?
You don't have to buy it from Sunset. You can buy it wherever you want. As long as we do the repair, we're going to cover it for life. So it's Repairs for Life. Whether you bought the vehicle somewhere else or you bought it from us, we're going to cover it if we do the work. Come on down and give us a shot.
Repairs for Life, only at Sunset Kia in Auburn, Sunset Ford, and Sunset Chevrolet in Sumner. You just get more at Sunset, and people do like that.
Summer's here, and it's time to love your yard. For over 30 years, Natural Design Landscaping has been creating stunning outdoor spaces across Seattle and the East Side. From custom patios and water features to outdoor structures and complete landscape makeovers. Make this the summer you finally get the backyard you deserve. Mention Seattle Red and get 10% off your first service. Visit naturaldesignlandscape.com, naturaldesignlandscape.com to schedule your consultation. Natural Design Landscaping. Let's build something wonderful together.
The new All-Pro battery by Steel. Tackle any task with 60% more peak power exclusively. Available only at your local Steel dealer. 60% peak power comparison between AP300PC and AP300S.
Seattle Red on 770 KTTH Seattle, 97.3 KIRO FM, HD3 Tacoma Seattle, 94.5 K233 DT Eastlake, 33 BU Seattle.
For a last-minute boost. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, campaigning for Senator Darlene Graham, his choice to replace her brother, Lindsey Graham.
We're going to tell them that we will never abolish ICE. We will never surrender our Constitution. And we will never allow our country to even think about being a communist or even a socialist country. We're not going to let it happen.
Darlene Graham was appointed to serve the remainder of her brother's term, but faces a runoff election against Congressman Ralph Norman for the nomination for the November ballot on Tuesday. Also at the rally, the president thanked Supreme Court Justice John Roberts for allowing work on the White House ballroom to proceed.
It's going to be the greatest of its kind anywhere that's ever been built, and it's something that presidents have wanted to be built for over 150 years.
The temporary order lets work continue as the Supreme Court considers an emergency appeal of a lower court ruling calling for construction to be halted because congressional approval was not granted. Day 2 of a hearing for Carmelo Anthony as his lawyers fight to get the Texas teen convicted of stabbing another teen to death at a track meet last year a new trial.
Prosecutors laid out a lengthy history of violence and behavior issues going back to elementary school that Anthony had. So much so that when he was 9 or 10, he was placed on a behavior plan. Prosecutors also shared dozens of text messages they found on Anthony's phone about his violent behavior. In one text thread, his then girlfriend told him to stop punching and that it wasn't good. He responded, "I have to. It's like a priority for me."
Fox's Garrett Tenney in McKinney, Texas. Yesterday, the prosecution and defense revealed they agreed to not present evidence that could inflame an already racially charged trial. America is listening to Fox News.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
The major averages ending higher for the day, but we're down for the week. Bond yields holding near their highest levels in over a decade, despite the efforts of Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to contain borrowing costs. One asset benefiting from higher yields is Bitcoin, with the world's largest cryptocurrency trading over $77,000, its highest level since mid-May. The digital currency has also benefited from President Trump's urging Congress to pass crypto-friendly legislation. This coming week will be a big one for markets. Headline events include NVIDIA's earnings release after the bell on Wednesday, the PCE inflation report, and Kevin Warsh's first major policy speech as Fed chief at the Jackson Hole Economic Policy Symposium. The Dow up 518 points, the Nasdaq higher by 113, S&P 500 up 33. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Hillary Barsky, invested in you.
You're probably listening to this in your car, so let me ask you, would you drive without insurance? Of course not. So why is your retirement portfolio unprotected? Gold is portfolio insurance. It helps de-risk your savings when markets get unpredictable. Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands of Americans do exactly that, with no high-pressure sales and thousands of 5-star reviews. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult with your tax or financial professional before.
Coach! The yellow light! I'm walking here! I'm walking!
Good afternoon and welcome to the Jason Rantz Show. We are here on Seattle Red, 770 AM, online at seattlered.com. We got a ton to get to this hour. It turns out we live in a very small world. Someone who had their car hit, allegedly, by the House Democrat, Krista Perez, turns out he's a listener. And he will stop by to tell us what he experienced and whether or not Krista Perez has his vote. I'm going to guess she's not going to get his vote. But first, speaking of driving, maybe irresponsibly, that's what's trending, brought to you by the Sunset Auto family.
What's trending? A Jason Rantz exclusive.
We have the story up right now at seattlered.com. Most normal people at this point understand what the term 8647 means. I mean, there's some people who want to pretend that they don't know what it means, that it's not very clearly a threat against the president and being used in a way with the intent of either threatening the president or trolling the president with a threat. Now, I don't think everyone who uses the term is a literal danger to the president, but we understand the inappropriate nature of 8647. Now, you have, under certain circumstances, the right to say 8647. Again, it kind of depends on the context. But in Washington State, turns out you're not supposed to have that as a personalized license plate. And yet, the Department of Licensing issued a personalized plate that spells out 8647, despite the fact that having a personalized plate is supposed to go through a human sensor. Let's call it that. They're supposed to look all this up before deciding that this is an appropriate license plate. Now, the plate itself that has been driving in North Seattle spells 6 out, but then has the number 8 and 47. So it says the number 8, then SIX, then the number 47. So the intent is pretty clear. Now, you might say, Jason, how do you know this is a political person at all? I think that's fair, right? I mean, it could mean all sorts of different things. Or there could be enough question for me to say, well, I can't definitively say that this person knows what it means. Okay, fair enough. But I am looking at a photo of the car that someone took and gave to us. Next to the 8647 personalized license plate, there's a bunch of stickers that say no iced, arrest Geo Group, something about Donald Trump making money off of toilets or something. It says DJ Drumpf eats from a gold toilet. Is it fair to say we don't have to question his political ideology? Is that a fair assessment we can all just agree with? Now, the reason why I find this interesting is not because I think this individual driver, who seems crazy, frankly, but not because he means harm to the president. Like, pushing all of that aside, I know that this is just simply against the rules. And so I reached out to the Department of Licensing, and I asked them, look, this is supposed to go through a human review. Are you telling me that this went through a human review and is permissible under the rules? Because I know that you're not supposed to put things that aren't even considered threatening, but insulting or negative towards individual politicians. You're not supposed to have that up on your license. And dare I argue that if this were something that made fun of Joe Biden, it would not have been given the green light. Now, according to the spokesperson, they said all applications are reviewed and processed by a staff member. So in other words, this was not a computer error, right? This was a state employee who read 8647, considered it, and was all like, all good. All good. They said, we review for all possible readings or inferences, including in reverse, as seen in a rearview mirror. Part of the DOL HQ review is using the Urban Dictionary to find slang and alternative meanings when staff question the configuration. I guess they didn't question the configuration of this one. They say they examine every possible reading of a requested configuration, flip all the characters so they can review it, blah, 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 blah. Even crowdfunding or crowdsourcing what the term might mean. And yet, this somehow didn't catch the attention of the individual who reviewed it. And the most telling part came in how long it took them to respond to my question. So I had this story for a while. And I reached out to the DOL because I was like, hey, I'd like some basic information before I go ahead and put this all out. They did confirm, by the way, that they are responsible for it. It went out in April of this year. So it's been driving for, what was that, 6-ish months or so? They said, we haven't received any complaints. We did, however, review the plate and late last week determined it does not meet the rule. We sent a letter to the plate owner on Monday canceling the plate. I think that driver's going to find our article and he's going to blame me. Fair enough. I guess I'm responsible. But here's what was telling. I emailed them asking about this on August 5th. Today is 17th. So I emailed them on August 5th. They got back to me actually rather quickly, say, hey, we're confirming receipt of your email. We're going to get back to you soon. The next day I sent a follow-up that said, we're going to get you an answer. And this was like on a Friday. We're going to get you an answer the early part of next week. It's like, okay, fair enough. I sent the email, I think, late in the evening or later in the afternoon. I think I was off the next day anyway. So it's okay. I can wait until Monday. I doubt anyone else has this story. Monday comes, no response. Tuesday comes, no response. I'm like, hey, just following up. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, we expect to get you an answer by the end of the week. I'm like, whoa. What's going? You said something completely different twice now. What gives? And then they didn't get back to me. And so finally I asked again. And this was on Friday of last week. Yeah, hey guys, can I get an update? And then they gave everything, and I learned that they had sent out that letter on Monday. They were doing, it's pretty obvious, right? They were trying to address this issue before responding to me because they think that takes away at least some of the story, that they violated their own rules. They allowed this to move forward and didn't do anything. And I suppose I understand their perspective. I'm not necessarily upset. I just found it kind of funny that they couldn't just say, yeah, our bad. And by the way, we're going to reach out to this person. We're going to ask them or tell them that it's no longer valid. We'll send them new. How does that even work? And do you think he's going to try and come up with something else? Like, they're not going to give you a refund is my guess. So however much, I have no idea how much it costs to get a personalized license. What is it, probably $100 or something like that? He's going to try to sneak in something else.
I mean, there's probably lots of different combinations with letters and numbers you could do.
And if you didn't catch 8647 and you apparently Googled it and looked it all up, which again, they say the person didn't understand what it meant. Oh, okay, right. The biggest...
Is this James Comey?
Right, it's James Comey's aunt who's in charge. But how do you not know what 8647 means at this point? I get if you didn't know what it meant prior to the James Comey indictment. Like, okay, fine, I'll give you that.
Yeah, that was a huge story, though.
It was everywhere. And you don't think that the DOL, no one there paid attention to that? I find that very hard to believe. And so my guess is someone knew exactly what it meant. It did not offend them, and they decided to move it forward. And only now are they pulling it back because they got, quote unquote, in trouble with the press. That's it. And by press, I mean us. Because you think anyone else is covering this story? There's zero chance anyone touches this story. And kudos to the person who took the photo in North Seattle and contacted us and gave us the permission to use the photo so we can go ahead and, get on this story. Because I do think it's important. This, to me, because at the end of the day, like, look, I don't think this guy poses any sort of threat. I just think he's a crazy liberal. It creates, number one, a toxic culture in society that we're all better off pushing back against. It just does. It's a twist, especially given the fact that someone two times tried to assassinate the president. Once, him even getting shot. We should not be making jokes about this, number one. Number two, you've got rules. I'm going to ensure that you apply them equally because I don't think they are applied equally. I do think that if this was some sort of Biden reference, that it would have been stopped immediately. If it was a license plate that said, "Let's go Brandon," I think it would have been stopped immediately. They would have known that reference. But when it comes to 86ing 47, I don't think they cared all that much. And so I'm going to put them on the spot, and I want them to apply the rules equally. Either get rid of the rules or apply them equally. You can choose. That said, can we not do the whole personalized plate things? Because you're an adult, man. What are we doing here?
They really are so corny.
It's lame. Don't put bumper stickers on your car like this. I mean, this is insane. It looks like a NASCAR for mental illness. You don't need all of these different stickers up there. And we don't need to know your personal politics on absolutely everything. You don't get extra points because you say something that I agree with. I don't care that your kid is an honor roll student. Cool. Everyone's an honor roll student at this point. You have to be. Otherwise, they accuse you of white supremacy. So who cares?
Occasionally, you'll see one that's like, okay, that's pretty funny. But
every once in a while. But you're never taking that bumper sticker off, right? It's there forever.
Oh, yeah.
And so the cool little meme sticker that you got up there doesn't mean anything in a year. It's still going to be there, and everyone's going to be like, what does that mean? What, do the Macarena. The hell does that? What's the Macarena? Is that
You're
a new
not going
bakery?
to want that Carrie Edwards 04 campaign sticker on the cover, right?
They're just these people. I can't. Okay. We got the photo up. I do hope you'll look at the photo because it's funny in a sad and mentally ill kind of way. SeattleRed.com is where you can go to check it out. SeattleRed.com. Let's find out what else is trending.
What's trending in Tacoma?
I guess we're supposed to pretend that there is a hunger strike underway at the ICE facility in Tacoma, the Northwest Processing Center, because La Resistencia is telling us that pretty much everyone inside, they're choosing not to eat. Number one, it's not true. They're still eating. I guarantee you they're still eating. They're just not going to their designated breakfast, lunch, and dinner times to eat. But I guarantee you they're still eating, number one. Because you know what? This is not the first hunger strike we've had there. We've had dozens of them. And somehow, weirdly, they are alive, I think. Did any of them die? And are they just hungry? Does this mean, no, I'm eating. I'm just still hungry. I'm not eating until satiation.
Maybe they're just really fat, so it's like a very long strike.
To me, this just sounds like intermittent fasting and cost-saving measures at the facility. So I actually think this is a good thing. But it's being done so that they can have 2 members of Congress show up and then use this as an opportunity to highlight the unsafe conditions. We need to close this place down. We got it. They say 140 detainees are refusing food in protest of the conditions there. Marcos Angel Hernandez spoke with Cairo 7 to describe his experience after his father was detained by ICE. He says the center is a depressing place. Unlike all of the prisons that are just really uplifting, it's this location. It's just such a bummer, man.
Let's go check if he's there. And we go, and his car is there. Everything that he bought, all the materials is all there, but it's just not here. It's honestly kind of scary. It's just a depressing place. Yeah. And it's like very, like, you can tell it just drains everybody.
It's a jail. It's a facility where you're being held because you're in this country illegally, and on top of that, you committed a crime and/or you were ordered to be deported.
It's like, where's the spa?
If you want that, you got to go to the Monroe Correctional Facility. I think they got one over there. Man, it's really depressing here. Like, you're in a cell, and you can't just leave and stuff. It's like, oh my God, no one deserves this. Okay. So protesters have been showing up. This is what they do professionally. Here's one named Josephina.
We have been an organization for over 12 years. We've supported on average a dozen hunger strikes a year. This year, this is the 20th hunger strike that we are supporting.
Did the other ones stop? I mean, seriously, an honest question. You're telling me this is the 20th hunger? Okay, fair enough. How'd the other ones end? So they just stopped and they started to eat again? Isn't that defeating the whole purpose of a hunger strike? What's the purpose of a hunger strike if you're going to end up eating? And it really is an intermittent
Isn't the whole
fast.
point, like, there's only two ways it can end. You get what you want or you die. Right?
That's it. That's the only thing that's possible. And note they're saying hunger strike. They're not thirsting. They're not thirsty at all. They're drinking as much water. Are they having protein shakes? Is that a way they think they're getting? Is soup considered? Can you eat soup on a hunger strike? Because it's suspended in liquid.
That's cheating.
That's my point. I think they're cheating. It's like, here's a protein shake. You said you weren't eating. I'm not. This is with a straw. Do you eat with a straw?
Only water. You can't have any calories in the drink. So.
You can't have water either. It's supposed to be a strike. You're supposed to be suffering. It's someone who, is getting involved. The best part is when someone is engaged in these kinds of very performative acts, but you find out we're a hunger strike between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. That's all we mean. Afterwards, it's all out. I still go to the commissary. I'm still getting my little noodles. Congress members Maxine Dexter, the Democrat from Oregon, who previously said she wanted to have sex with Donald Trump. People, I guess, forget that. She hopes we forget that. Emily Randall, the member of Congress from Washington, whom everyone forgets. They spoke with Cairo as well.
They misled us about who was on a hunger strike and what the status of that was. Yeah. I mean, it makes it very hard to parse what is actually happening in these facilities when we are hearing separate accounts.
Oh, so you see the facility saying, they're not on a hunger strike. La Resistencia, which supports open borders and wants to close ICE detention and does not believe in any immigration enforcement. They're against all deportation. All deportation. They're the ones you're listening to, ICE facilities saying this isn't really happening. And then you got, again, Emily Randall and Maxine Dexter out there saying, well, shows you that we need to have more access. We got to figure that. It's all a scam. Folks, it's all a scam. Jackson, it's a scam. They're eating, okay? Can we just stop with this nonsense? Stop it. In fact, this makes me want to. Here's the simple way. You don't like what's the food situation is here? Awesome. We're deporting you tomorrow. You will be somewhere else tomorrow, and you can eat to your heart's content. We don't care what you eat there. All the empty carbs you want, go there. That's my other favorite part about all these stories. Like, we don't like the kind of food that's served. It's a jail. What are you expecting? You get one Michelin-starred chef, not two. It's ridiculous. We want culturally appropriate food. I don't even know what you can do for that in an immigration jail. They can have a cuisine. They set up like a buffet, and each little section has different parts of the world represented. What are they supposed to? Here's the sushi spot. Although I would not trust sushi at a jail center. I feel like that's probably not the freshest fish. Here's the Mexican station. Here's the Asian section. Like, come on. Only every time we go see any of these people, they somehow get fatter during these things. Let's find out what else is trending.
What's trending? Let's get political.
Eric Swalwell is back in the news. I do kind of feel bad on this story because we're now learning more about him swiping right on Fang Fang. And it turns out there was a lot of swiping right. A lot of it. Some of it is called, I saw one headline about how he had a drug-fueled sexcapade with her. He was on Ambien that he took before she knocked on his door to hook up. Do you count that as drug-fueled.
I mean, I guess
Drug-fueled.
technically that's not really what comes to mind.
No, you're thinking they're doing cocaine and then hooking up. Dude took an Ambien because he wanted to get to bed, and then she knocks on the door and is like, Fang Fang's here. Is like, okay, I'm about to pass out. Let's figure this out quickly. Apparently, he hooked up with her a number of times. The records were declassified by the Trump administration. They were just released by the White House Government Transparency Task Force. And it details 2 FBI interviews with Eric Swalwell, one in May of 2015 and again in March of 2016, conducted as part of a bigger investigation, broader investigation about Fang Fang's dealings with illicit campaign contributions, which apparently were part of funneling interns into his office. And they say over at Fox during the first interview, Swalwell told agents that he had physical relations with Fang Fang on a, quote, handful of occasions. Physical relations. Just say you had sex. What do you have to say? It's almost like he thinks he's trying to fool someone with that kind of language. It's like, oh, they won't know. I'm technically telling the truth, but they're not going to know I'm talking about sex. They say their last encounter occurred in March of 2015. He joined Congress in 2013. You can see why having sex with a Chinese spy 2 years after getting into office is seen as controversial. In a second interview, he described multiple encounters, including one in which Fang Fang arrived at his apartment, banging on his door, and the two subsequently hooked up after Swalwell had taken a powerful sleep medication. The former congressman indicated he had little recollection of the event. Ambien will do that. The sad part is, for his ego, she was all like, I don't remember it either. It's like, how much Ambien did you take? I didn't take any Ambien. I was drinking coffee. I had to stay awake. I just don't remember anything. They say the records indicated they probably occurred before Swalwell was elected to Congress. Fang left after a couple hours. Swalwell barely remembers the event because he had taken Ambien prior to Fang arriving, according to an interview summary from the FBI. He told investigators he considered his physical relationship with Fang Fang casual, while maintaining the two had never dated and, quote, never had a romantic relationship. Oh, it was a booty call. Who amongst us haven't done that with spies? How do you not realize you're honeypotted? And then number 2, she wasn't that pretty. I don't understand that honeypot. Is that the way you get out of suspecting someone is involved in a honeypot situation? Like, she's not that hot. This is theoretically plausible for me to get this person on my own.
And it's always awkward when you see these like men in power like destroy their lives, and you see the girl and you're like, really?
Right. I mean, and that's Jackson talking. So the fiance who's out there listening right now, let me translate what Jackson just said. There's definitely a level of attractiveness that does justify throwing away your entire life and your career for a meaningless hookup when you're married or with a significant other. But Fang Fang didn't do it.
I'm just, well, my fiance is gorgeous, so you know, I have very high standards, I guess.
Folks, that was him trying to save himself. 1-800-465-8770 if you want to send me a text. 1-800-465-8770 for your text messages. When we come back, the socialist takeover of the Democratic Party continues, and some folks are pretending to not even understand what wokeness is. Okay, yeah, that's believable. Over the years, the Sunset Auto family's warranty protection for life has paid more than $7 million in warranty claims because they value taking care of their customers. So stop by for a complimentary warranty health check. They'll check your warranty because the last thing you want is a voided one when you need coverage the most. You just get more at Sunset, and people do like that.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-292-4541 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-292-4541. That's 800-292-4541. What do you have to lose? Call 800-292-4541. Again, 800-292-4541.
Hey, it's Jason Rantz. If If your air conditioner is barely hanging on, CM Heating has one of the best offers I've heard this summer. Right now, you can get any size high-efficiency AC system for just $179.99 a month with zero upfront cost. And here's the game changer. CM Heating's Comfort as a Service program includes lifetime repairs, annual maintenance, and even filters at no additional charge ever. Go to cmheating.com and schedule your free estimate online today.
License number CMHEAHL 751LW. Is your car's AC blowing warm air? Don't sweat it. Bucky's Complete Auto Care is here to help. Right now, you'll save $50 on any AC service. Whether it's a weekend getaway or the daily commute, you deserve a cool, comfortable ride. For over 50 years, local drivers have trusted Bucky's for honest pricing, expert repairs, and guaranteed work, earning them the Carfax Preferred status. 16 family-owned locations, no appointment needed, and easy financing. For $50 off your cooling system service, visit buckys.com.
Hey, it's Jason Rantz. Summer's here and everyone's on the road enjoying the outdoors. Chelan, Leavenworth, Westport. Doesn't matter where you're headed, you're getting there on roads that are a construction nightmare right now. Lane closures, sudden stops on the freeway, detours that dump you into traffic you didn't expect. 1 second you're cruising, the next you're slamming the brakes because some dude ahead of you didn't see the cones in time. Add in summer barbecues, a few too many drinks, people out late, and you've got a recipe for accidents. So look, get a designated driver, give yourself extra space on the freeway, pay attention through the work zones. But if it still happens, if someone hits you, you call the Herald Car Law offices. 7 locations across Western Washington, a huge qualified legal team, and a free consultation at carlaw.com. Car is spelled with 2 R's, C-A-R-R, carlaw.com. They handle the insurance companies so you don't have to, and they'll likely get you way more than you otherwise would have gotten on your own. Do not take on an insurance company alone. Go with the Car Law offices, carlaw.com, C-A-R-R. Car accident? Call CAR.
When you're finally off the clock after a long day, dishes put away, kids asleep, feet kicked up, heartburn. Don't let heartburn take over your hard-earned moment. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Alka-Seltzer effervescent tablets begin neutralizing stomach acid in seconds, so you can get back to your one more episode marathon. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Because nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Use as directed.
Ice Cube's Big 3 season has come down to this. The Big 3 Championship is coming to Charlotte. Who will be crowned the Big 3 Season 9 champion? Plus the Big 3 All-Star Game. The biggest names in the game, all on one court, one more time. 2 games of the most physical, competitive, and non-stop 3-on-3 action. The game played the way you love. Watch live Saturday on CBS at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, and catch replays Monday on BET. Yay, yay!
Back to the Jason Rantz Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. As much as I have worries about the midterms for Republicans, especially on the House, and again, I do not believe that the Republicans will be able to hang on to the House. That does not mean we don't try our best, because we can still win individual races that can be won. Some of that is just defending the incumbents who are running. Others just making sure that we can beat vulnerable Democrats like Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez in Washington's 3rd. I can't say that I'm not loving the infighting in the Democratic Party right now between the socialists and the Democrats who are progressive or the Democrats in leadership. What you're generally seeing are moderate Democrats calling all of this out because they're the targets. They're the ones most likely to lose in this infighting. The base of the party, the activists within the party, socialists who aren't even Democrats, they're the ones who are not just organized, but they actually vote. And everybody else, not really. And so if you're a moderate Democrat and you're going up against a socialist in the primary, you're especially worried. You might not be worried if you get to the general, but you get worried in the primary. And we've seen plenty of more moderate or quote unquote mainstream Democrats in New York, in Denver, lose, or Colorado really, lose to their challengers. Now, tomorrow, you've got Jared Moskowitz, who is a moderate Democrat, generally speaking. I kind of like him. We were on a panel together. The people have noticed that he's funny. And I said, well, Jews, we're we're funny people. We're quick on our feet. But generally speaking, again, he's been willing to call out the wokeness on his side. He's going up against a pretty far leftist / socialist. We'll see how he ends up doing. Florida's a little bit of a different beast. Tomorrow's the real last high-profile socialist challenger of this season. But the Democrats are hoping that they can take control of the House, maybe even the Senate, off of the momentum of the socialists and the organizational prowess of the socialists, and then, once they're in power, push the socialists aside, as if the socialists will just go ahead and say, I just wanted to get into office, and now I'm not going to care about any of my big picture issues. I'm not going to talk about any of those big ticket items that I promised on the campaign trail. I'll just get behind Hakeem Jeffries. I'll get behind Chuck Schumer. That's not going to happen. You know how we know it's not going to happen? You can look at the Tea Party. Tea Party, at least, were actual conservatives. They actually were Republicans. We're dealing with folks who are not Democrats. Their voters, some of who fall for some of this stuff, might be Democrats who fall in line with some of these promises of everything being free and the world being a better place because of blah, 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 blah. But the socialists believe what it is they say. They are against police, prisons, borders, rich people, business, capitalism. They actually hold those views. They're going to try to legislate that way. And there's infighting going on that's upsetting some of the folks who are either far to the left, but not quite socialist, or so desperate for power that they're willing to let this Trojan horse into their party. Former Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe, was he the one who was all about abortion up until a baby cries? Wasn't that the same Terry McAuliffe?
Wasn't that Ralph Northam?
Wasn't that also? They're all the same, I think. He was on, he's doing some speech at some rally, and he was getting on this whole, like, I don't know. I'm not going to say he was going on a tirade. He wasn't. But he seemed to get very defensive at the idea that Democrats would criticize socialists, even though he's acknowledging that socialists aren't actually Democrats.
I've learned a lot about Democrats through all those years, going back 60 plus years.
Oh, I forgot how much I hate his style. This is like this like fake folksy. Hillary Clinton used to do something similar.
He did that video when he was running with like grilling in the backyard. It was kind of like the Schumer thing.
Oh, stop. It's like Elizabeth Warren. I'm a drink a beer. Would you like a beer right here in my hand? It's great.
We love to argue. I know that. We all have strong opinions, and I like people who have strong opinions.
Do you? I love people who have strong opinions. However, stop expressing them. I love you for debating. Stop debating.
I have a message for all of those geniuses and political geniuses out there who constantly go on TV and Twitter, Democrats trashing fellow Democrats. I got a simple message for you. Knock it off or get off the playing field, because we have too much work to do.
Hey, dummy, you do realize that some of them are literally on the playing field fighting to stay on the playing field, and that's why they're going after the social. You do know that, right? You do know that. Then Tim Miller, remember when he used to pretend he was a Republican, but just simply a never-Trumper? Total Republican, he just hates Donald Trump. Which, okay, there's some people like that who legitimately exist. Tim Miller is not a Republican. And he's actively talking about the Democratic Party as if he's a member of the Democratic Party. He is. He was on MS Now.
My number one thought is it's frustrating to me that not everybody's keeping their eye on the ball. Donald Trump has 2.5 more years left as president. I think about the damage that a mentally deteriorating Trump can do the last 2.5 years. Like,
oh, they're really leaning into that nonsense. After pretending there was nothing wrong with Joe Biden, who could not navigate his way up a flight of stairs or off of a stage, they're telling us, oh, there's something wrong with Donald Trump, who seems exactly the same as he's been for the last decade or so.
I would say like 40 years, honestly.
I will say, and I said this on Friday, he does seem more tired, but he's also the president.
That's fair.
Like, that part I get. And even Biden being tired. It's not that I care that they're tired. I hope that they're tired. It means they're working. And also, Trump does not sleep, which is not healthy at all. It's not going to help keep him awake. But this idea that he is somehow deteriorating, his personality is the same for the last several decades. This is literally his personality.
We have to have this family feud right now. Can we not have it in 2029? I was joking the other day on the pod. I'm like, we're really going to fight about who has the right.
Hey, the pod. Both of you, Nick is filling in or is getting trained. If I ever refer to my podcast as the pod, I'm saying this on the radio, Marin and HR can take note of this. You can punch me in the face. If I ever say, now there's some rules. You have to do it within a couple minutes. It can't be like a sucker punch. I need to know that it's coming.
There's a statute of limitations.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, I'm banking this someday down the road. If I ever say, listen to the pod, you have complete permission to punch me in the face. Just come up to me and say, you asked for this, and just punch. I will not be upset. I'll be upset with myself for having called it the pod.
A healthcare plan. It's like Donald Trump's not signing any healthcare plans the next 2 years. Like, can we have this fight in a little bit? So that's frustrating.
Yeah. Can you have that fight after you have control? Okay. You do understand you're not passing anything at that point, right? Because of the infighting. Meanwhile, you've got folks like Wes Moore. He's the governor of Maryland, who's supposed to be a potential contender for the presidency. I think because he's affable and they like the fact that he's black. That's pretty much the only. No one knows who Wes Moore is. Same thing with like John Ossoff. They're talking about him as a potential. No one knows who John Ossoff is. Why are you pretending that he has the name recognition? But Wes Moore goes on one of the Sunday shows, and he was asked about AOC's comment on Woke 1.0, which she pretended she wasn't a leader of. He's now pretending, I think this was CNN, that he doesn't even know what Woke 1 means.
Well, it's funny. It's true. I said, I don't know what Woke 1 is.
Then you're stupid. Then you should definitely not be president. You don't know what Woke 1 is? It means abolishing police. It means abolishing prisons. It means abolishing the border. It means being anti-capitalist. It means calling literally everything racist. You don't know what Woke 1. I don't know what Woke 1 is.
But frankly, I don't know what Woke 2 or Woke 3 is either.
It's worse than Woke 1. That's what it is. It's a slightly different way of saying the same things you said before, but putting more of this faux sort of academic spin on it. That's what it is. Now that we've established this, now can you speak to it? And I think this was Jake Tapper who was doing the interview. You didn't want to stop him and say, actually, here's what Woke 1 is. Now please tell me your thoughts. This is what Woke 1 is. How is it that AOC knows what Woke 1 is, the bartender, and you don't know what it is?
Just last night, I was over at watching our Shorebirds play, which is our single A affiliate for the Baltimore Orioles over here in the Eastern Shore.
Everyone knows it. Jackson was talking about this the other day, the Shorebirds.
Speaking to a woman who was just saying how difficult it is.
Here's Woke 1. Can you define what a woman is? You were just speaking to a woman. How do you know you were speaking to a woman? That's Woke 1, dummy.
It's right now. When she was saying how gas prices just continue to spike. And
so, what, this is just so coincidental that this completely real conversation he had at the Shorebirds game yesterday, it just so happened to pivot to a talking point that Democrats are using on the campaign trail every day about gas prices. What are the odds of that happening? That must really mean that the average person is just constantly talking about this nonstop.
No, she's a person who's on disability.
Oh, let me also guess. Is she a single mother who's working 3 jobs? And she came here legally from Costa Rica to live the American dream. And she's biracial and non-binary and in a wheelchair.
She says she can't work because of her back.
See?
And she's now noticing that just getting anywhere to her doctor's appointments are now becoming oppressively expensive because of gas prices.
And she had a tattoo on her forehead that said #Medicare for all. Isn't that weird?
And I think when we're talking about those issues, what she didn't come up to me and say, what's your political ideology? She didn't say, what wing of the party do you represent? She was talking about the fact that gas prices are too high.
You're a Democrat. They know you're a Democrat, dummy. You can see Bob Ferguson going up to Bob Ferguson. Bob, before we have our interview, can you confirm what party you're with? 1-800-465-8770 for your text. When we come back, Speaking of politics, Krista Perez, a House Democrat, she just beat the incumbent in the primary. She's running for the House. She allegedly got involved in a DUI accident. She hit 5 parked cars. One of the owners of one of those cars is a listener, and he stops by when we come back on the Jason Rantz Show.
Progressive knows you want to get away, but not like too away. You crave the unknown, but also charcuterie boards with 4 types of cheese. And that's exactly why you bought an RV and bundled it with Progressive, because 24/7 protection is one luxury you'll never have to give up. So go ahead, explore the wilderness, all from the comfort of your zero-gravity camp chair. Switch to Progressive and protect your RV, boat, or motorcycle by bundling with your home or auto insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
John's day is off to a slow start. So he heads to AutoZone, where he can get a battery for under $100. Lonnie, a local AutoZoner, tests his battery for free. Looks like he just needs a charge. And Lonnie does that for free too. In no time at all, John is back on the road. Ready to finish the day strong. Free battery testing and charging at every store. No hassles, just help.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
When you see this in your kitchen,
The stainless steel fridge is covered in fingerprints.
you hear this.
Leslie, people are going to think you were raised in a barn or by wolves, or raised in a barn by wolves.
Fortunately, Wyman Stainless Steel 3-in-1 cleans, shines, and protects to give you the best shine. A spray and a wipe will have your fridge shining like a mirror.
Wow, my fridge looks brand new. Your fridge looks amazing, Leslie. Sorry, I was being a little dramatic earlier.
Your kitchen says a lot about you. Let it brag with Wyman.
We wouldn't be celebrating America 250 if it wasn't for a strong foundation set by the framers. Hamilton built Americans' financial foundation on the principle of sound, stable money, a principle later embodied by the gold standard. However, we abandoned that discipline in 1971 and have since seen inflation erode the dollar's value. This is Stephen K. Bannon. What is the foundation of your savings? Birch Gold Group has been helping Americans solidify their savings with gold for the past 15 years. They help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. With an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau and countless 5-star reviews, let Birch Gold help build your foundation with gold. To learn more, get your free info kit from Birch Gold by texting SECURE to 989898. That's SECURE to 989898. Take a stand for your financial future. Text SECURE to 989898 right now to receive your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold Group.
Message and data rates may apply.
When you're finally off the clock after a long day, dishes put away, kids asleep, feet kicked up, heartburn. Don't let heartburn take over your hard-earned moment. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Alka-Seltzer effervescent tablets begin neutralizing stomach acid in seconds, so you can get back to your one more episode marathon. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Because nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Use as directed.
Ice Cube's Big 3 season has come down to this. The Big 3 Championship is coming to Charlotte. Who will be crowned the Big 3 Season 9 champion? Plus the Big 3 All-Star Game. The biggest names in the game, all on one court, one more time. 2 games of the most physical, competitive, and non-stop 3-on-3 action. The game played the way you love. Watch live Saturday on CBS at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, and catch replays Monday on BET.
Yay, yay!
Welcome back to the Jason Rantz Show on Seattle Red, 770 AM, online at seattlered.com. As we told you last week, we were the first to report that Tacoma prosecutors charged Democrat Krista Rose Perez with driving under the influence. It was after an alleged accident that happened early Tuesday morning. She ended up spending some time in jail before she posted bond. She reportedly refused field sobriety tests. She failed to produce a usable breath sample through 3 separate attempts And she told a cop, according to Tacoma PD, that she didn't know what had happened after her pickup ended up nearly on top of another car. In the end, it caused a chain reaction accident where 5 parked cars ended up getting damaged, or 5 in total. One person's car belongs to my next guest, Don. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Jason. Thanks for having me.
So you obviously woke up in the morning to realize that your car had been damaged via an accident. Take us through what happened that night.
Well, actually, Jason, I was up at the time. It was right around midnight, and where I'm at, my apartment is I'm on the 3rd floor looking down at G Street, and so I'm about 30 yards away from where the accident occurred, and it was fairly loud. Actually, it was really loud. And so I lay in bed for a little bit, and I get up, and I look down, and I see everybody running towards the accident. And that's when I saw my truck, and I saw her vehicle on top of another vehicle, so I got dressed and went down there.
Wow. So you went down there. Did you know what had happened other than there was just an accident? Like, how chaotic was the scene?
There was approximately 4 people on the scene. I did not see her. I believe she was still in her truck. And it was, after the accident, it was quiet, just people talking and, calling 911. So.
How long before cops got there?
Maybe 5 to 10 minutes at the most. They were here pretty quick.
Okay. Well, 5 to 10 minutes. I mean, if she was injured, might have been a long time. Did medics arrive first?
No, medics did not arrive at all.
Wow. Okay. So cops get there. Take us through what unfolded and when you realized the extent of the damage on your own vehicle.
I will go back to this. I thought it was odd when I heard the noise. I did not hear any braking at all. So, and when I was laying in bed, I thought that was really odd. Mm-hmm. So I go down and I see the damage to my truck first, and then I walk around to the driver's side. She's still in the truck and talking to one of the witnesses, and she's basically on top of another car. I think the way it looks is she's driving north, and she made a hard left turn and hit the first car at about a 45-degree angle, which knocked it back and caused the according effect, and then turned that car 90 degrees where it was pointing east, and she's still pointing north, and she's on top of the hood of the car.
Wow. Now, to be clear, for folks at home, no one was injured, and that includes Krista Perez, who, again, is running as a Democrat to the left of the incumbent in this House race. Did you see her get out of the vehicle at all, or was all of your interaction with her from, wherever it was you were and her in her own vehicle?
I did not. The only time I saw her is when she was talking to the police officers.
How would you describe her demeanor?
To be honest with you, Jason, I didn't get close enough to her. Like I said, there was already people there talking to her, so I just kind of stepped back. I didn't think there'd be, too many people involved. So
yeah, and my assumption is you had no idea who she was, correct?
No, not till I saw your. Sorry, I'm brain fade. So I saw your thing on the radio a couple of days later.
Yeah, you happen to be
Friday,
a listener.
Thursday or Friday? Yes.
Yeah, which is talk about a small world where of all the people who listen, it happens to be one dude who is hearing about the accident that his car was involved in on the radio at the time. What was the damage that was done to your vehicle?
Being that it's a 1989 Chevrolet C3500, the front end is severely damaged. And so I think if the insurance companies just were to look at it, probably because of the age, it would be totaled. The first 2 cars are definitely totaled. And I do have a picture. It did move my truck back, and we're looking at 6 tires on the ground. It moved my truck back a good 3.5 feet. So kind of tells me how fast she was going to do that much damage.
Yeah, we will have the photos available over at seattlered.com. Have you heard from her or her attorney at all?
That's the frustrating part, Jason. I have not heard. I've tried it. I still have a few more avenues to go, but I went through her campaign site and messaged her, and also tried to call the phone number on there, and nobody's returned anything. We did a download on the computer as far as her personal information. Another person involved in the accident, the car behind me, he has tried to call her numerous times and email her, and so far, nothing.
Yeah, and I mean, in fairness, I don't know what the expectation should be given that she's been charged in this. It's not a simple car accident that you're dealing with. So, again, in fairness, I don't know how she's supposed to act, but what are your expectations as someone who's the victim here?
I would think it would be the duty for her to reach out. I'm sure by now she knows the extent of her damage that she caused, and she has to be aware of the fact that we were trying to get a hold of her. She has to be aware of that. I would, unless she's just holed up in her house.
What have you been? What has the conversation been like with the police?
Just that night, I called the Tacoma Police Record Section, trying to see if there was updated information about her insurance information, and so far I've got nothing. I tried to call the towing company, and they would not release any information. So right now I'm just running into dead ends.
So what are you supposed to do? I imagine it's incredibly frustrating. I don't even know where you would begin.
Well, the sad part is, the first car, we have not been able to get hold of the owner at all. I have no clue. I have his name on the police report, but no address. I don't believe there's an address. But the next three people, including me, do not have full coverage. So if we had full coverage, our insurance company would be taking care of the whole situation. But since we only have liability, they do not do that. So we're basically on our own.
Wow. How much damage could this end up costing you?
Well, I keep thinking it was lucky it wasn't, like three Lexuses or some BMWs or some Mercedes-Benz parked there. It could have been a lot more damage. The four vehicles, I think she's going to get off fairly light, or the insurance company is going to get off fairly light, because the first three were older vehicles, and the fourth one, I believe, is probably in maybe about 10 years old.
So what are your expectations at this point if she doesn't get a hold of you, if the insurance company is not going to cover this the way that you think it should be covered? Are you considering any kind of legal action against Krista Perez?
I'm not sure if I'm to that point yet. There is some forms of the Department of Licensing I can do, and there's also through WS Watchdog, there's a form I can fill out. Any damages over $1,000, and then they can go after suspend the license of the person involved and some other stuff. So that's my next steps.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sorry you had to go through this. I'll give you the last word, but good news is no one was injured. You're safe. There was no one in the parked vehicle at the time. It happened in the middle of the night, so there was no one on the sidewalk that we're aware of. Certainly no one that got injured. So this could have ended much worse. I imagine you're not going to vote for Krista Perez for the House race.
Actually, I probably wouldn't vote at all with the two candidates. So
yeah, unfortunately, it's up against another Democrat, Melanie Morgan, who's also pretty far to the left. Make sure you are voting. You don't have to vote for those two, but just make sure you're voting. Right. So I'll give you the last word on all of this.
I just think somebody in that position, well, anybody in life should step up, but especially where she advocates on her campaign, fighting for the small person, the undeserved. That's what she works for. She works for the Department of Commerce, so she does work for the state. So she's in a position to where I think she really needs to step up and help us out.
Yeah, it's just taking accountability for an alleged accident that certainly you're not at fault for at all, not in the least. Well, again, we'll have more information and photos up at seattlered.com. You can go there now if you want to learn more about this case. We've been talking with Don. Don, again, sorry this happened to you. I'm glad you happened to be a listener and reached out to us so that we could talk to you about this. And we wish you the best of luck. Make sure you keep us up to speed on how this continues and whether or not Krista Perez, decides to do the right thing and take responsibility and help you out.
I hope she does. And yeah, thank you for your time putting me on the radio. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. You're listening to The Jason Rantz Show. We're back with more after this right here on Seattle Red 770 AM, online at seattlered.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-292-4541 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-292-4541. That's 800-292-4541. What do you have to lose? Call 800-292-4541. Again, 800-292-4541.
Our founders believed that freedom wasn't just a word. It was a way of life. The freedom to move forward, the freedom to pursue what matters most, the freedom to live fully. But aging has a way of taking those freedoms away. That's why there's Longevity Medical Clinic. John Curley here. My best move was becoming a patient of Longevity Medical Clinic years ago, and second best move, getting my wife Nicole to join me this year. Stop guessing and start working with a doctor who knows your goals and get personalized care designed around you, not the average patient. Discover what's holding you back and what can help you thrive with longevity. Aging is natural, but some of the effects are undesirable, and you don't want to have to just accept it. So this year, as we celebrate 250 years of freedom, ask yourself a simple question. Are you living with the freedom you deserve? Get real answers about your health and get your free health analysis at Longevity Medical Clinic. Find out more at lmclinic.com.
Is it time to get your home sold? Nick Southard with Upgrade Realty here. Selling hundreds of homes for over 25 years has taught me presentation is everything. Picture amazing photography, designer staging, and maximum exposure. With my luxurious marketing, you'll sell fast at top dollar and save thousands in fees for just 1% listing commission. To learn more, visit upgraderealty.com. Upgrade your listing for 1%. Upgraderealty.com.
Hey, how's your money situation? Are you ready for retirement? Well, if you want to know what the pros are doing to make wealth multiply and retire like royalty, then you need to listen to this show, The Money Professor, with Chris Longworth. Get your money right and tune in every weekend, Saturdays at 10 a.m. and Sundays at 12 noon on Seattle Red.
Summer's here, and it's time to love your yard. For over 30 years, Natural Design Landscaping has been creating stunning outdoor spaces across Seattle and the East Side. From custom patios and water features to outdoor structures and complete landscape makeovers. Make this the summer you finally get the backyard you deserve. Mention Seattle Red and get 10% off your first service. Visit naturaldesignlandscape.com, naturaldesignlandscape.com to schedule your consultation. Natural Design Landscaping. Let's build something wonderful together.
The new All-Pro battery by Steel tackle any task with 60% more peak power exclusively available.